Chapter 39-29. Jiang Rong never imagined that the cold girl in front of him would be the daughter of Dragon Prisoner City's giant crocodile, Sacred Dragon Shitao. Jiang Rong naturally knew of Sacred Dragon Shitao. Back then, Shitao had gone to the Jiang clan to settle some matters. Jiang Rong had gone to greet him with Jiang Zizai. Even Jiang Zizai, who had received an audience with the enslaved Dragon King, had to bow when he saw the Sacred Dragon Shitao. After all, Shitao could be said to be one of the 5 sacred dragon powerhouses under the enslaved Dragon King. In the enslaved dragon domain, he could be said to be second only to the enslaved Dragon King. How could a mere patriarch of the Jiang clan offend such an existence? If it were the Jiang Zizai of the past, he might have been able to develop the Jiang clan and become the number 1 clan in the dragon prison domain after 10 years. In that case, he would have been able to speak equally with Sacred Dragon Shitao. But the current Jiang Rong did not have that qualification. Otherwise, he would not have addressed a tiny Shi clan merchant house's manager as an esteemed guest. This. Eldest miss, I'm sorry. I had eyes but failed to recognize Mount Tai and offended you. Please be magnanimous and forgive me. Jiang Rong immediately knelt down respectfully and apologized to Shi Yueying in fear. His words were extremely rude. Things like get lost and turn to ashes. If any of those words were to reach Sacred Dragon Shitao's ears, he would not be able to bear the consequences. He might even be killed on the spot. So, the only thing he could do now was to ask for Shi Yueying's forgiveness. Otherwise, he would be in big trouble. Ignoring everything else, the business deal he had just discussed with the esteemed guest would definitely be ruined. That was a definite consequence. If Sacred Dragon Shitao were to learn of it, Jiang Rong would definitely not be able to bear the consequences. Although the Sacred Dragon, Shitao, had no way of wiping out the entire Jiang clan, it could only be done if Qiandao King personally gave the order. But in Shitao's eyes, getting rid of a clan leader who did not live up to his name was still a relatively easy task. After all, Jiang Rong was nothing special compared to the other elders of the Jiang clan. Couldn't he just get rid of Jiang Rong and appoint a new clan leader? Therefore, Jiang Rong had to beg for Shi Yueying's forgiveness. Otherwise, he would be finished. The scene suddenly changed, and Kang Xinmu heaved a sigh of relief. This way, things would definitely be settled. It was all thanks to Shi Yueying's presence that he was able to help out. However, even if Shi Yueying had not come, the manager of the Shi clan's Chamber of Commerce would have recognized Kang Xinmu. After all, when Kang Xinmu and Xia Tianhan had fought to the death on the martial arena, all the important figures in the city had come to watch the battle. Naturally, this person had seen Kang Xinmu before. However, because of Shi Yueying's crisp voice, which was familiar to him, the manager of the Chamber of Commerce came out of the inn's private room ahead of time. If you want me to forgive you, it's very simple. From now on, you will listen to Kang Xinmu. Shi Yueying said coldly, if he wants to participate in the clan martial competition, you have to report his name, do you understand? Yes. As long as First Miss can forgive me, this is just a small matter. Jiang Rong did not dare to say anything. Since it's a small matter, why did you evade it just now? Shi Yueying revealed a displeased expression. Could it be that there's some irreconcilable enmity between you and Kang Xinmu? Of course, Jiang Rong did not dare to say this out loud. However, Kang Xinmu smiled. It's very simple. When I was in the Jiang clan, Jiang Rong wanted to hire assassins to kill me. That's why I escaped from the Jiang clan and came to Dragon Prison City. That's how I met Miss Shi Yueying. When Shi Yueying heard this, her expression slightly changed, and her killing intent surged. Jiang Rong, as the patriarch of the Jiang clan, actually wanted to kill a talented youth in the clan. What was the reason? Could it be that Kang Xinmu was hiding some sort of secret? Or could it be that Jiang Rong was abusing his position to avenge a personal grudge, and had a deeper level of enmity with Kang Xinmu? No. First Miss, how could I want to murder my own clansman? absolutely not. Jiang Rong immediately raised his head and denied in fear. He could already tell that the relationship between Kang Xinmu and Shi Yueying was not ordinary. Offending Kang Xinmu was offending Shi Yueying, and offending the sacred dragon, Shi Tao. Originally, he would never have thought that it would be like this. But now, it was clear that the relationship between Kang Xinmu and Shi Yueying was not ordinary. In such a situation, no matter how much he wanted to harm Kang Xinmu, he could only suppress this matter. He absolutely could not reveal the slightest bit of killing intent towards Kang Xinmu in front of Shi Yueying. He couldn't even reveal his hostility, or else something might happen. That's right, Jiang Xinwu. Previously, I only imprisoned you in the back mountain so that you could reflect on the mistakes you've made. But you just left like that. Who saved you at that time? It must be that person who framed me. Jiang Rong said from the bottom of his heart, this clan leader has never thought of killing you. Jiang Xinwu, uncle once treated you extremely well. Up until now, your mother is still being cared for by uncle. You should be very clear about this. Can you cut the crap? Jiang Xinwu snorted coldly. Even if we can forget about what happened in the past, why do you want to snatch the dragon weapon from me the moment you see me? As the Jiang clan's patriarch, do you even have the slightest bit of consideration for the clan? It's decided. Kang Xinmu will replace one of your Jiang clan members to participate in this clan tournament. Shi Yueying was still as cold as ever. She made the final decision. With his strength, it's not enough to make your Jiang clan lose face. Even Xia Tianhan from the Xia clan couldn't defeat Kang Xinmu with the help of the Dragon Great Ice Yuan Spirit Wheel. Kang Xinmu will definitely be able to defeat more than half of the experts in the clan tournament. Yes, yes, yes. How could Jiang Rong dare to have any objections? He only wanted to send Shi Yueying away as soon as possible. Whatever she said, he would do. He didn't dare to have the slightest bit of disobedience. Since that's the case, you decide who to let Kang Xinmu replace in the clan tournament. Shi Yueying continued. Let him replace me. At this time, Jiang Yuaning's voice came from the side. She had been watching from the side. She didn't expect Shi Yueying to have such a background, nor did she expect Kang Xinmu to know a girl of Shi Yueying's level. Moreover, the relationship between the two seemed to be very good, because I just awakened as a dragon warrior this year. My strength is the weakest among the original 20 people in the clan tournament. There's nothing wrong with letting Kang Xinmu replace me. Chapter 39-30. The matter was settled. With Shi Yueying present, Jiang Rong did not dare to have any dissatisfaction towards Kang Xinmu. Even if he did, he could only keep it in his heart, not daring to show it in the slightest. Jiang Rong was very clear that if Kang Xinmu achieved good results in the clan tournament, then he would have a strong rallying power in the Jiang clan, even surpassing the newly appointed patriarch. All of this was because Kang Xinmu's father was Jiang Zizai. If Kang Xinmu were to rise, then it would inevitably make people think of Jiang Zizai, thus increasing his power. However, Jiang Rong was also very sure that in this clan tournament, Kang Xinmu would absolutely not be able to reach a stunning level. Even if he had a dragon-grade dragon weapon, a dragon warrior at the peak of the Dragon Ascension realm would at most be able to enter the top 100 in the clan tournament. That would already be very impressive. If he wanted to go further, it would be as difficult as ascending to the heavens. Jiang Rong had not only seen the clan tournament once, he had even participated in it himself when he was young. Generally speaking, the experts who entered the top 50 were all powerful existences of the divine martial realm, and the top 20 were basically heavenly dragon inheritors of the divine martial realm. It was not a place that ordinary dragon warriors could step into. Only existences like Jiang Zizai and Ji Yeshuan 3 years ago were able to dominate the crowd and suppress 17 clans without a single opponent. Therefore, although Jiang Rong was worried, he did not care too much. After all, Kang Xinmu was only at the peak of the Dragon Ascension realm. It was not very possible for him to achieve good results in the clan tournament and inherit Jiang Zizai's reputation. After sending off Kang Xinmu and Shi Yueying, Jiang Rong and the Jiang clan elder heaved a sigh of relief. You are really courting death, humph. The Shi clan's Chamber of Commerce supervisor coldly snorted. If the sacred dragon Lord Shi Tao were to know about this, your position as Jiang Longjun will come to an end. I didn't know that this kid would actually meet the daughter of Lord Shi Tao. Jiang Rong said with a sad face, Lord, this time, I have to trouble you not to tell anyone. Our Jiang clan can give you a little more for this business. You know, he. Well, that's fine. The fatty stroked his beard and nodded in satisfaction. However, if the young miss wants to tell Lord Divine Dragon, I can't do anything about it. You can only pray for yourself. Of course. I can only pray for the blessings of the dragon god. Jiang Rong nodded, his eyes filled with helplessness. He regretted not catching up to Jiang Xunwu back then and completely killing him, causing him to face such a dangerous situation now. He had, but he Jiang clan Jiang, and Tao. He had, Jiang, and not, he, and, not, he, Jiang, that he, and, not to. Fortunately, he still had a trump card, and that was the disappearance of Jiang Zizai. For this, he still had some clues. Although he did not know much, for Kang Xinmu, it was enough to be his final trump card. Originally, Jiang Rong had not thought of telling this matter to Kang Xinmu. But now, it seemed that he could only use this information to save his life. After all, he had offended the sacred dragon, Lord Shi Tao. Such an existence was not someone he could easily provoke. Furthermore, he had said such outrageous words to Miss Shi Yueying. Originally, Jiang Rong had not thought of telling this matter to Kang Xinmu. But now, it seemed that he could only use this information to save his life at this critical moment. After all, he had offended the sacred dragon, Lord Shi Tao. Such an existence was not someone he could easily provoke. Furthermore, he had said such outrageous words to Miss Shi Yueying. If the sacred dragon, Shi Tao, wanted to pursue the matter, Jiang Rong would definitely not have a good ending. Then, we will take our leave first. Kang Xinmu and Shi Yueying walked to the entrance of the inn and bade farewell to Jiang Yuning. Well, take care. I will wait for you to bring glory to the Jiang clan at the clan martial competition in 7 days. Jiang Yuning smiled sweetly. I will do my best. Kang Xinmu nodded solemnly. Although he was only a little over 16 years old, he was already quite mature in his actions. He did not have the immaturity of a child and was worthy of trust. After Kang Xinmu and Shi Yueying left, Jiang Fengqing appeared behind Jiang Yuning. Her tone changed from arrogance to flattery. Yuning, your relationship with Kang Xinmu isn't bad. Why didn't you ask to follow him to the Shi clan residence? It had to be known that many of the dragon warriors of the 17 clans wanted to take advantage of the clan martial competition to amaze the world. At the very least, they wanted to show some noteworthy merits and be recruited into the forces of Dragon Prison City. Now that Kang Xinmu had a close relationship with the young miss of the Shi clan residence, if Jiang Yuning were to bring it up, it was very likely that she would directly enter the Shi clan residence. He has his own path and I have my own life. Is there a need to stick to him? Jiang Yuning found it strange. What was going on with Jiang Fengqing? She had always been very arrogant towards her, but now, she suddenly seemed to be trying to please her. How about this, if you don't want to go, why don't you introduce me to him? Jiang Fengqing was a little expectant. I know that there was some misunderstanding between me and Kang Xinmu, but those were all small misunderstandings. Yuning, if you are willing to help me, you should, forget it. Jiang Yuning did not wait for the other party to finish speaking and immediately rejected him. There was no need to help Jiang Fengqing in such a matter. Moreover, the relationship between her and Kang Xinmu was not close to begin with. If because of this matter, it was very likely that they would become completely estranged in the future, then she would never forgive herself. Besides, Jiang Yuning knew what kind of person Jiang Fengqing was. Even if he went to the Shi clan residence, what could he do? Kang Shinmu and Shi Yueying left and walked on the streets of Dragon Prison City. Kang Shinmu, I heard you talking about your father just now. Is your father missing? Shi Yueying asked curiously. That's right, he has been missing for 10 years. Until now, I have been searching for traces of him, but to no avail. Kang Shinmu nodded and said. 10 years, the Jiang clan's legend, Jiang Zizai, has also been missing for 10 years. Could it be that he is your father? Shi Yueying's interest was piqued. She was usually cold, but now that she was with Kang Shinmu, she became a little lively. Especially when they talked about Jiang Zizai, she became very interested. That's right, it's him. Kang Shinmu nodded and admitted it. Ah, it really is him. You are Jiang Zizai's son. Shi Yueying was pleasantly surprised when she heard the affirmative answer. She originally felt that Kang Shinmu was extraordinary, but she did not expect him to be Jiang Zizai's son. No wonder he is so powerful. If he is Jiang Zizai's son, then everything is understandable. She originally liked Kang Shinmu, and now, with her admiration for Jiang Zizai, she liked him even more. Unfortunately, I can't find my father. Kang Shinmu shook his head. After the clan martial competition explains, I will let Jiang Rong tell me the clues about my father's disappearance, even if it is just a little. Yes, I will help you. Chapter 39-31. Kang Shinmu and Shi Yueying held hands as they headed back to the Shi clan residence. There were still 7 days left before the clan martial competition would officially begin. They could still make the best use of this time to improve their strength. On the streets, many people saw the two of them and began to discuss softly. The duel between Kang Shinmu and Xia Tianhan had long since spread throughout the entire Dragon Prison City, becoming a hot topic of discussion among countless dragon warriors and citizens. What followed was the importance that Holy Dragon Shi Tao placed on Kang Shinmu. He even gave him a dragon-ranked dragon weapon. It could be seen that he wanted to nurture Kang Shinmu as a genius. There were even rumors that Holy Dragon Shi Tao wanted to betroth one of his daughters to Kang Shinmu. From this, it could be seen how much importance Kang Shinmu received. Although he was only a dragon warrior at the peak of the Dragon Ascension realm, his future was limitless. Many people in Dragon Prison City had even listed Kang Shinmu as one of the people who could not be provoked. Even if they could defeat Kang Shinmu, they could not make a move against him, because the Holy Dragon Shi Tao was too strong. Once they provoked the Holy Dragon Shi Tao, they would be in trouble. Just like Jiang Rong right now, he was in a state of panic, and it was very likely that he would not be able to sleep. Halfway there, Kang Shinmu suddenly discovered that there was a group of people in front of him. They seemed to be shopping, and the person in the lead was actually the genius from the Ji tribe, Ji Yeshuan. Although Ji Yeshuan was still young and was only a young girl, she had already awakened as a dragon warrior 4 years ago. Now that she had come to Dragon Prison City, she was the senior of the Ji tribe participating in the dragon competition, so she was walking at the very front. A conservative estimate was that Ji Yeshuan had already reached the subversion of the divine martial realm, and was only a step away from the nirvana tribulation realm. When he saw Ji Yeshuan again, Kang Shinmu felt a little awkward. Because last time, he had made an illusion of his own death, and he had not changed his appearance then and now, this Ji Yeshuan must have recognized him at a glance. However, he wasn't too worried. He was just a little embarrassed. After all, the other party couldn't do anything to him, not only because of his current relationship with Shi Yueying and the sacred dragon Shi Tao, but also because they were in Dragon Prison City. Even Ji Yeshuan couldn't directly attack Kang Shinmu. If they were to fight, Kang Shinmu was sure that he wouldn't be able to withstand a single attack from Ji Yeshuan. However, it was impossible for the other party to make a move, so it was fine. Anyway, in the previous matter, Kang Shinmu did not do anything wrong. Even if he survived, the other party had no evidence to prove that Kang Shinmu took the Qitian spirit grass and swallowed it. Even if he was sure that he had taken the Qitian spirit herb, it wasn't in Ji Yeshuan's hands at that time. It was in the mouth of the snow fox. The appearance of the dragon soul of Zhou had shocked Ji Yeshuan into a coma. As for what happened next, Kang Shinmu didn't need to explain. At that moment, Ji Yeshuan noticed Kang Shinmu walking with Shi Yueying. She was slightly older than Kang Shinmu, but she had awakened 3 years earlier than him. Naturally, she was much stronger than him. Now, she had become an elder in the Ji tribe, and her power was astonishing. "It's you." Ji Yeshuan furrowed her brows. When she saw Shi Yueying beside Jiang Shenwu, she seemed to have understood something. These days, she had heard that there was a duel between a young man from the Shi clan and Xia Tianhan from the Xia clan, with a dragon-level weapon as the wager. It was a huge bet, but she didn't expect that the young man from the Shi clan was the guy she knew. The guy who entered the Zhou Dragon's ruins with her, and whom she thought had died in the Zhou Dragon's ruins. After all, Ji Yeshuan wasn't Zhang Rong. She was smarter, and immediately recognized Shi Yueying's identity. "So you're called Kang Shinmu. So, you're from the Jiang tribe?" Ji Yeshuan led her people over, and stopped in front of Kang Shinmu and Shi Yueying, asking arrogantly. If it was Shi Yueying, she wouldn't be so rude, but to Kang Shinmu, she didn't need to change her tone. "Yes, so what?" Kang Shinmu smiled lightly. "Actually, not long after I awakened, you saved me, and I haven't thanked you yet." "I don't remember such things." "Tell me, did you take away the Qitian spirit grass?" Ji Yeshuan's eyes shone, staring at Kang Shinmu, wanting to know the truth. "Yes, thank you again." Kang Shinmu nodded in acknowledgement. There was no need to lie about such things. "Very good. You're the first junior to remain unfazed in front of me." Ji Yeshuan smiled instead. She didn't think that she was about the same age as Kang Shinmu. After all, she had awakened early, and her strength was extraordinary. She was an important figure in the Ji tribe, and even Dragon King Qiu treated her with respect. She actually had a good temper, but Jiang Shenwu didn't have any deep interactions with her before, so he didn't know. "If I'm not wrong, there's a lot of enmity between you and the Jiang tribe." Ji Yeshuan faintly smiled. "I don't know why you left the Jiang clan, but now, since you came from the Jiang clan's residence, you must have gone to find someone." "What, you want to participate in the clan martial competition?" "Yes." Kang Shinmu nodded. Seeing that Ji Yeshuan's attitude was not bad, Kang Shinmu was willing to interact with her. After all, she was a genius second only to his father, Jiang Zizai. There was no harm in interacting with her on the premise that she was friendly. "Then we'll meet at the clan tournament. My Ji tribe's juniors aren't weak. You must be careful." The corner of Ji Yeshuan's mouth curled up, then she led her people away from Kang Shinmu and left. "She's Ji Yeshuan." After Ji Yeshuan led her people away, Shi Yueying looked over curiously. She seemed to be quite curious about Ji Yeshuan. "Yes. In Desolate Dragon City, I was hired by her to help her chase a snow sky fox. Then something happened, and she took away the Qitian spirit grass that belonged to her." Kang Shinmu nodded, "But now, it seems that she doesn't care too much about it." Qitian spirit grass. This is something worth millions, or even tens of millions of dragon coins. But with Ji Yeshuan's strength and reputation, she really doesn't need to go to war for it. Shi Yueying said with some worry, "I just saw 2 inheritors of the heavenly dragon blood at the divine martial realm behind her. I'm afraid they're going to participate in the clan tournament." "Kang Shinmu, you must be careful when you go on stage." "Yes, I will." Kang Shinmu felt the concern in Shi Yueying's words and felt a little warm. However, at the clan tournament, he absolutely had to display his strongest strength. No matter what, he had to do his best. Chapter 39-32. Kang Shinmu and Shi Yueying returned to the Shi clan residence together. Then, an elder of the Shi clan residence came to greet them. The elder said to Shi Yueying respectfully, "First mistress, the master has asked me to invite brother Jiang over." Shi Yueying tilted her head and asked curiously, "What's the matter?" "That's good." The elder smiled and extended his hand. Little brother Jiang, please. I'll be going then. Kang Shinmu nodded at Shi Yueying and followed the elder to a magnificent building. Jiang Shenwu had heard of this building before. It seemed to be a place where many of the Shi clan's dragon martial skills were hidden. He could not help but feel puzzled. Why did Holy Dragon Shi Tao ask him to come here? No matter what, he could not disobey the order. Moreover, the sacred dragon Shi Tao probably wouldn't harm Jiang Shenwu. Soon, Jiang Shenwu followed the Shi clan's elder to the place where the dragon martial skill was kept. As soon as he stepped in, he saw the holy dragon Shi Tao's imposing figure waiting for him there. I just learned that brother Jiang is Jiang Zizai's son. How surprising. Shi Tao came up and laughed. Third elder, you can go first. I want to talk to brother Jiang. Goodbye. The skinny elder smiled and turned to leave. My father has been missing for 10 years, Kang Shinmu said. That's right. If not, Jiang Longjun would at least be on par with me now, or even far surpass me. Shi Tao nodded and sighed. Unfortunately, Jiang Zizai has been missing for 10 years and has not been found. Even the Dragon King feels sorry for him. Jiang Zizai has the talent to become the Dragon King. Dragon King, do you want the Yan Dragon Emperor dynasty's Dragon Emperor to bestow it personally? Kang Shinmu asked. That's right. First, you have the sacred dragon's legacy blood essence. After being enlightened by the Dragon Emperor, you can transform it into the Dragon King's legacy blood essence, which is much stronger than the sacred dragon's legacy blood essence. As Holy Dragon Shi Tao spoke, he sighed. My aptitude is limited, and I have no hope of becoming a Dragon King in this life. However, little brother Jiang still has a chance. Since he was able to evolve from a true dragon blood essence inheritor to a heavenly dragon blood essence inheritor, it is not impossible for him to evolve into a sacred dragon. At the very least, the possibility is much higher than that of an ordinary dragon martial artist. Thank you, Lord Divine Dragon. Kang Shinmu smiled. He did not expect Shi Tao to value him so much. No wonder he was willing to give him a dragon-grade weapon. This was because he had his eyes on his future development potential. Especially now that he knew that his father was Jiang Zizai, Holy Dragon Shi Tao felt even more at ease. Originally, he was still a little hesitant about whether or not he should devote so much effort to Kang Shinmu. But now, he basically no longer had any doubts. 7 days from now, the clan martial competition will be quite dangerous. In the Shi clan's mansion, you can choose one of the 3 highest grade dragon martial skills to cultivate. Follow me. Since Holy Dragon Shi Tao was determined to nurture him, he wouldn't hold anything back. He could tell that Kang Shinmu possessed top-notch talent. Although he did not possess the Holy Dragon's legacy blood essence from the very beginning, the possibility of him becoming a Dragon King in the future was still very high. This was because his inherent skill was strong enough. Although it was not like other innate powers that could be used to launch long-range attacks, it seemed to be able to unleash an extremely strong combat strength when combined with a body-refining dragon martial skill. All along, Holy Dragon Shi Tao had remembered Kang Shinmu's battles in his heart. He discovered that Kang Shinmu's inherent skill was strange, but this kind of inherent skill allowed him to surpass other dragon warriors of the same realm. With a stronger combat strength, Kang Shinmu would be able to have a stronger competitiveness. In terms of cultivation resources, he would be able to obtain them faster than other dragon warriors. In this way, it would naturally be easier for him to transform his own divine dragon blood essence. 3rd grade dragon martial skill. When Kang Shinmu heard these words, he was immediately dumbfounded. Previously, he had only used his monster hunter points to exchange for the cheapest magic crystal for a rank 4 dragon martial technique. His other dragon martial techniques were still only rank 5. Now, however, Shi Tao had actually gifted him a rank 3 dragon martial technique. Did the 3 words Jiang Zizai really have that much weight? Otherwise, why didn't Holy Dragon Shi Tao do this before? Why did he bring him to the place where the dragon martial skill was stored? Father, I owe it to you. Kang Shinmu thought to himself. No matter what, the clan martial competition was around the corner, and he didn't have much confidence. If he could successfully cultivate a third-grade dragon martial skill, even if it was only at the mortal level, it would still be able to increase his combat strength by a large amount. It would even allow him to defeat a dragon warrior of a higher cultivation level. Combined with the dragon-level dragon weapon, the halberd of heavenly saints, his combat strength would far surpass experts of the same realm. Thank you, Senior Holy Dragon. Kang Shinmu did not refuse and thanked him instead. There's no need to be polite. I once drank and chatted merrily with your father, Jiang Zizai. Even if it's for his sake, I still have to take care of you. Furthermore, your talent is high enough and worth nurturing. Holy Dragon Shitao laughed, then asked, Oh right, what do you think of my daughter, Shi Yueying? Although she looks cold, she's actually kind-hearted. Not bad. Kang Shinmu evaluated. If you like her, I am willing to betroth my daughter to you, haha. Holy Dragon Shitao laughed. This, Kang Shinmu felt a little awkward and shook his head. Junior is currently focusing on cultivation and searching for traces of my father. I'm afraid I don't have such thoughts and will let her down. Not bad. Holy Dragon Shitao nodded, then we'll discuss this matter after you find your father. I hope that after 10 years, Jiang Zizai is still alive. At that time, our father's generation will make the decision and witness your marriage. Haha. Now, choose a dragon martial skill. There are a total of 6 third-grade dragon martial skills recorded here. You can choose any one of them. Holy Dragon Shitao brought Kang Shinmu to the core of the building. After passing through several layers of defenses, they finally arrived here. There were 6 bookshelves, and each bookshelf only had 1 book, all of which were third-grade dragon martial skills. Then Junior won't stand on ceremony. Kang Shinmu bowed to Holy Dragon Shitao, then began to look through the 6 dragon martial skills. The cultivation of dragon martial skills was more about quality than quantity, so Holy Dragon Shitao only allowed him to choose one. Among these 6, there are no body-refining dragon martial skills. Since that's the case, I'll choose an offensive dragon martial skill. It will increase its lethality and make it easier for the devouring power to corrode the opponent's body. Chapter 39-33. The dragon martial skill that Kang Shinmu had chosen was called Shadow Dragon Fang Transformation. Even amongst the third-grade dragon martial skills, it could be considered one of the most destructive dragon martial skills. Shadow Dragon Fang Transformation, any innate ability can be activated. Condense a Shadow Dragon Fang and attack the opponent. Its penetrative power is extremely strong. Kang Shinmu was very satisfied with this time. What he needed was a dragon martial skill with a strong penetrative power, and this Shadow Dragon Fang Transformation was just right. As long as he could penetrate the opponent's defense, he would be able to corrode the opponent's body with his devouring power and devour the opponent's flesh, blood, and life essence. To Kang Shinmu, this was a guarantee of victory. However, once this innate ability was used during the clan martial competition, he would have to be prepared to expose it to the public, because in the clan martial competition, the opponent was allowed to admit defeat. If the opponent admitted defeat and Kang Shinmu continued to want to kill the opponent, then he would be judged to have violated the rules and be disqualified from participating. This way, it was very likely that many of the participating dragon martial warriors would be able to escape from his hands. Then, he would reveal the fact that his devouring power could devour flesh, blood, and life essence. In this way, he would not be able to kill some opponents that he could not kill by surprise in the wild. Of course, if the effects of the devouring power leaked out, it wouldn't be a big problem. As long as he didn't leak out the effects of consuming the divine dragon's bones to raise the level of the divine dragon's blood essence, it would be fine. This was something that no one knew until now, even Jiang Yuning, Shi Yueying, and the others who had a good relationship with Kang Shinmu did not know. Kang Shinmu did not plan to tell anyone about this, because this news was too dangerous. It was very likely that he would become the public enemy of all the dragon martial warriors. There are still 7 days left before the start of the clan martial competition. These 7 days are enough for me to successfully cultivate the Shadow Dragon Fang transformation. Even if it's only at the human level, as a 3rd-grade dragon martial skill, combined with my devouring power, it can still produce a very strong destructive power. As Kang Shinmu thought about it, he decided to cultivate this 3rd-grade dragon martial skill. Then, he thanked Holy Dragon Shitao. You're welcome. From today onwards, you can just treat the Shi clan's mansion as your own home. Sacred Dragon Shitao laughed, not minding it at all. The 3rd-grade dragon technique was considered the strongest dragon technique in the Shi clan residence. Since he had taken it out and given it to Kang Shinmu, it meant that he had completely approved of Kang Shinmu. Whether it was because of Jiang Zizai or some other reason, it showed that Kang Shinmu had been approved by the Holy Dragon Shitao. Kang Shinmu did not stand on ceremony. Father, I'll borrow your light for now. After the clan martial competition is over, I'll force Jiang Rong to answer about your disappearance. Kang Shinmu thought to himself. His eyes shone with a bright light. He had been waiting for this day for a long time. Jiang Zizai's disappearance was related to the black dragon's essence and blood in his body, but he was not clear about the specific connection. He could not even make a guess. The situation was too complicated. Not to mention the unknown origin of the black dragon, it was a great secret in itself. It was very likely that Jiang Zizai's disappearance was a very small matter compared to the black dragon's blood essence, Shadow Dragon Fang transformation, Kang Shinmu began to cultivate. He constantly condensed the power of devouring. At the beginning, he was almost unable to condense the Shadow Dragon Fang, let alone use it to attack the enemy. However, as he continued to cultivate, he was soon able to condense the power of devouring into the Shadow Dragon Fang transformation. The penetrating power of the Shadow Dragon Fang was very strong. He called Shi Yueying over to spar with him, and then Shi Yueying activated the Ice Origin Spirit Wheel and combined it with her own innate ice power to condense a defensive barrier. His Shadow Dragon Fang transformation directly penetrated it without the slightest resistance. Kang Shinmu was very clear that if it was before, he would have to borrow the halberd of Heavenly Saint to continuously attack in order to shatter Shi Yueying's defensive barrier. Although he was the inheritor of the Heavenly Dragon's blood essence and Shi Yueying was only a true dragon, the young girl also possessed the Ice Origin Spirit Wheel. Furthermore, the power of ice in her body was unusual and not ordinary. To be able to shatter Shi Yueying's defense combined with the Ice Origin Spirit Wheel meant that Kang Shinmu's strength was already much stronger than before. Just by relying on the Shadow Dragon Fang transformation, he could surpass one level to defeat his opponent. With the halberd of Heavenly Saint and the Grade 3 Dragon martial skill, Shadow Dragon Fang transformation, I can definitely defeat the inheritor of the Heavenly Dragon's blood essence who is at the 2nd level of the Divine Martial Realm. But if I meet an even stronger existence, it will be very difficult to resist. Fortunately, I have the halberd of Heavenly Saint. As long as I am not instantly killed by the opponent, I still have a chance to turn defeat into victory. Kang Shinmu pondered in his heart. Not only could the halberd of Heavenly Saint be used for attack, it could also be used for defense. Its ability was extremely strong. When it was attached to the magic crystal, it greatly increased Kang Shinmu's defensive power. Soon, 7 days had passed. The clan tournament of the Dragon Prison Domain was about to begin. Before this, there were already rumors that the youth who had just risen to prominence in the Shi clan mansion, the one who defeated Xia Tianhan, was actually a member of the Jiang clan. He would represent the Jiang clan to participate in the clan tournament. This news caused the clan martial tournament, which was originally not paid much attention to suddenly explode. In the arena where the clan martial tournament was held, nearly half of the dragon warriors had come to watch Kang Shinmu's match. This was because Kang Shinmu had obtained the halberd of Heavenly Saint and was highly regarded by the Holy Dragon Shitao. In an occasion like the clan martial tournament, it would definitely be very interesting if they fought. Because of this, even on the first day of the clan martial tournament, the Holy Dragon of the Shi clan, Shitao, and the Holy Dragon of the Xia clan, Xia Yan, had come to the arena to watch the battle. Both sides had experienced the battle between Kang Xinmu and Xia Tianhan, so they attached great importance to Kang Xinmu. I would like to see what kind of results this child can obtain in the clan martial tournament. Holy Dragon Xia Yan led a few important figures from the Xia clan to the spectator stands. They occupied an area and attracted the attention of countless people. This was the first time that a Holy Dragon expert had come to watch on the first day of the clan martial tournament. The clan martial tournament in the Dragon Prison domain would last for about 10 days each time. Basically, only in the last 2 days would there be Holy Dragon experts coming to watch the battles to see if there were any talents that they could recruit. This time, because of Kang Xinmu's appearance, Holy Dragon Shi Tao and Holy Dragon Xia Yan had actually come on the first day. It was simply unbelievable. In fact, it wasn't just that. Because Kang Xinmu had affected the Shi clan mansion and the Xia clan mansion, coupled with the fact that he was the rumored son of Jiang Zizai, it caused the other Holy Dragon experts to have great expectations for him. They wanted to see what kind of strength Kang Xinmu had and whether he was worthy of the name Jiang Zizai. Chapter 39-34. Kang Xinmu followed the people of the Jiang clan to the arena for the clan tournament. Jiang Rong was very polite to Kang Xinmu, which was completely different from before. Divine Marshal, there are so many people in the arena today. It's almost the same as the last 2 days of the clan tournament. You can't let everyone down. Jiang Rong laughed. Jiang Shenwu couldn't be bothered with him. He just walked with Jiang Yuaning and chatted about some interesting things from the past. This time, he finally met Jiang Liuxue. He learned that Jiang Liuxue was now at the first level of the divine martial realm. Jiang Liuxue, who possessed the Sky Dragon blood essence of the mysterious Sky Jade Fire Dragon, was the strongest person of the Jiang clan. But now, Kang Xinmu was confident that he could defeat Jiang Liuxue. Whether it was the dragon weapon or the dragon martial skill, he had a great advantage. Even in terms of talent, he had a great advantage. Because of Shi Yueying, Jiang Rong was very optimistic about Kang Xinmu. This had nothing to do with his strength, but his relationship with his backer. Now, Jiang Rong did not dare to have any improper thoughts about Kang Xinmu. But in fact, in the hearts of the people of the Jiang clan, Kang Xinmu was only at the peak of the Dragon Ascension realm. Even if he had a dragon-level dragon weapon, how could he beat Jiang Liuxue? Jiang Liuxue was a proud son of heaven. In this clan tournament, his goal was to enter the top 20. Only by doing so, could the Jiang clan have a place among the 17 clans, and not be at the bottom. All the people of the Jiang clan did not think that Kang Xinmu was strong. Although he had transformed from a true dragon blood essence inheritor to a sky dragon blood essence inheritor, they were unwilling to believe that Kang Xinmu could be better than Jiang Liuxue, whom they had spent all their efforts to nurture. They even felt that the 2 true dragon blood inheritors who had awakened 2 years ago were stronger than Kang Xinmu. After all, they had awakened for a longer time. Whether it was the cultivation of the dragon martial skill or other aspects, they had a great advantage. Kang Xinmu did not care about what these people thought. No matter what, in the end, he had to use facts to speak. For Kang Xinmu, he had to fight for a higher ranking for the Jiang clan. Only by doing so would he be able to convince the people of the Jiang clan and have the opportunity to pull Jiang Rong down from his position as patriarch. The first day of the clan martial competition, the preliminaries, begins now. The rules of the preliminaries of the clan martial competition were not a simple elimination tournament, but a lottery system. Every dragon warrior would have to participate in 5 battles, 1 point for every win, and 1 point for every loss. After 5 days of competition, the top 100 would enter the semifinals. There were a total of 340 genius dragon warriors participating in the clan martial competition from the 17 clans. Among them, 240 would be eliminated in the preliminaries. For Kang Xinmu, the preliminaries were definitely not a problem. If our luck in the draw is good and we can obtain 5 consecutive victories, it will boost the Jiang tribe's morale and increase the Jiang tribe's overall score. Kang Xinmu thought in his heart. Soon, it was time for the preliminaries to draw lots. There was no need for every dragon warrior to go up on stage. As long as the patriarch of each tribe went up to the rostrum and received the bamboo lots, the results of the battles would soon be out. On average, every dragon warrior would fight one battle a day. In the 7 days of the preliminaries, there would be 170 battles every day. This was a large fighting arena that could hold 10 battles at the same time. During the semi-finals and finals, there would be a small number of fighting arenas. At the same time, the number of battles would be reduced. This would allow people to clearly see the strength and battle details of the dragon warriors and judge their respective talents. The results of the draw are out. Kang Shinmu, your luck is very bad. Jiang Rong quickly returned with the bamboo lot. He suppressed his voice, but there was a hint of schadenfreude in it. Among your 5 opponents in the preliminaries, 2 of them are very strong. They are the Meng tribe's Meng Tianqing and the Zhang tribe's Zhang Shijin. Both of them were genius experts who awakened 2 years ago. Meng Tianqing is an inheritor of the 4th tier of the divine martial realm, and Zhang Shijin is an inheritor of the 2nd tier of the divine martial realm, the heavenly dragon blood essence. He might even be stronger than Jiang Liuxue. Meng Tianqing and Zhang Shijin were difficult opponents for Kang Shinmu to deal with, but they were still within the range of what he could handle. He nodded nonchalantly, not worried at all. On the other hand, the people from the Jiang tribe began to discuss. They were quite excited about the bamboo lot that Kang Shinmu had drawn. They seemed to be gloating over his misfortune. Against Meng Tianqing and Zhang Shijin, Kang Shinmu would definitely not be their match. He would most likely lose. Jiang Yuaning was very unhappy with these people. You are clearly representing the Jiang tribe. If you get a good result, they will receive more cultivation resources. But they only hope that you will be defeated. Damn it. Kang Shinmu smiled slightly. Don't bother with them. At this time, we can only use our strength to speak. He swept his gaze towards the Meng tribe and the Zhang tribe. Meng Tianqing and Zhang Shijin were looking at him with a sneer on their lips. It was obvious that they were looking forward to Kang Shinmu's match, and were very disdainful. Kang Shinmu had recently become famous in the entire dragon prison city. To be able to meet Kang Shinmu in the preliminaries was their good fortune. As long as they defeated Kang Shinmu, they were likely to gain the attention of the divine dragon experts in Dragon Prison City. They could then stay in Dragon Prison City and obtain the opportunity to soar. And now, they believed that they were much stronger than Kang Shinmu. Meng Tianqing, who was at the 4th tier of the divine martial realm, although he was only an inheritor of the true dragon blood essence, he had cultivated several dragon martial techniques to the dragon level. He had put in a lot of hard work. Against a guy at the peak of the dragon ascension realm, even if he was an inheritor of the heavenly dragon blood essence, he was not afraid. And Zhang Shijin, who was at the 2nd tier of the divine martial realm, was an inheritor of the heavenly dragon blood essence. He was 2 tiers higher than Kang Shinmu. These 2 tiers of martial arts were very crucial. The Dragon Ascension realm was also known as the Dragon Ascension 9 transformations. When one's realm increased, the dragon warrior's divine dragon body would become stronger. Their speed, strength and other aspects would increase. And in the divine martial realm, the dragon warrior's increase in realm would bring about an increase in their talent. After stepping into the divine martial realm, every increase in realm would increase the dragon warrior's talent by at least 50%. Compared to a dragon warrior at the peak of the dragon ascension realm, an expert at the 4th tier of the dragon ascension realm would have double the talent. And Zhang Shijin, who was at the 2nd tier of the divine martial realm, had double the talent of Kang Shinmu. Chapter 39-35. Kang Shinmu's lot was not good, but the Jiang tribe's other contestants' lots were even worse. They had even drawn the strongest contestants from the Meng tribe and Zhang tribe. There was a 4th tier divine martial realm heavenly dragon blood essence inheritor, and a 5th tier divine martial realm true dragon blood essence inheritor, and so on. For a moment, the Jiang tribe's side was filled with wails. But in fact, this was because their overall strength was too weak. Even if they did not meet the strongest, and only met some average dragon warriors from other tribes, it would be difficult for them to defeat them. There were a total of 100 people who could pass the preliminaries. In the entire Jiang tribe, there were probably no more than 3 people who could pass the preliminaries. During the preliminaries, no matches were scored. However, as long as one person passed the preliminaries, it would give the clan a point as a whole. The final score of the entire clan martial competition was based on the points of each clan. The higher the ranking, the more cultivation resources they would receive in the next 3 years. If they continued to be ranked last, then the tribe might face the danger of being banned. The first day's battle is about to begin. Jiang Shenwu glanced at his opponent on the first day. It was Qiu Fenglan from the Qiu clan. She was a woman, and her eyes seemed to be full of charm. She was the inheritor of the true dragon essence blood of the first level of the god martial arts. In the Qiu tribe, Qiu Fenglan was not considered strong, so she was very distressed when she drew Kang Xinmu on the first day. This was because Kang Xinmu was rumored to be a genius youth under the sacred dragon Shitao. Although he was not even 16 years old, he had defeated Xia Tianhan, who was at the first tier of the divine martial realm. And at that time, Xia Tianhan had a dragon-level weapon. This made Qiu Fenglan lose her fighting spirit. The people of the Qiu tribe encouraged her not to be discouraged. After all the rumors were just rumors. It was very possible that Kang Xinmu was not as strong as the rumors said. It was also possible that Qiu Fenglan's talent could restrain Kang Xinmu. In short, it was impossible to admit defeat without fighting. The other people of the Qiu tribe also wanted to see what kind of strength the rumored Kang Xinmu had, so they encouraged Qiu Fenglan not to admit defeat. At least, she had to force Kang Xinmu to use some powerful means. Qiu Fenglan nodded and prepared to go on stage. Her eyes sparkled. She was full of curiosity about Kang Xinmu. She was looking forward to fighting him. In next to no time, along with the announcement of the clan martial competition's referees, the first round of 10 battles began. Jiang Shenwu and Qiu Fenglan went up and looked at each other. Neither of them looked down on the other. Jiang Shenwu did not underestimate Xia Tianhan just because his opponent's cultivation base was the same as Xia Tianhan's. He knew very well that Xia Tianhan's combat prowess was considered weak among the dragon martial artists of the same cultivation base. Moreover, he had devoured Shi Yueying's 5 extremities mysterious ice energy, so he had a stronger resistance against frost innate abilities. He did not know what Qiu Fenglan's talent was, so Jiang Shenwu did not dare to be careless. Begin. With the announcement of the referees, Kang Xinmu and Qiu Fenglan transformed into their dragon forms. Kang Xinmu's black dragon form was hundreds of meters long. It was majestic and mighty. Qiu Fenglan, on the other hand, was only an inheritor of the true dragon's blood essence. In an instant, he turned into a 300-meter-long green wind dragon. The natural talent power that represented the wind instantly roared out, forming waves of extremely terrifying wind blades that enveloped Jiang Shenwu's entire black dragon body. This is the power of a god martial artist. Their talent is strengthened and enhanced. Their destructive power is extremely strong. Kang Xinmu's expression changed slightly. Although Qiu Fenglan did not have a dragon-level dragon weapon like Xia Tianhan, she had an earth-level dragon weapon. It also greatly increased her strength. Plus, Kang Xinmu did not have any special resistance to the wind talent. It led to a situation where her defense was broken. But immediately after, Jiang Shenwu roared angrily, and a purple magical crystal appeared on the body of the black dragon. In the next moment, he passed through his opponent's gale blade, activating the dragon technique, sky-piercing dragon shadow, and flew towards Qiu Fenglan. The difference in strength between a sky dragon and a true dragon was very obvious. If Kang Xinmu got close, Qiu Fenglan would definitely die. With a slight movement, her entire divine dragon body, under the influence of the fierce wind, glided around in all directions, making it impossible for Jiang Shenwu to catch up no matter what. Her speed was even faster than Jiang Shenwu's earth-grade void-piercing dragon's shadow dragon martial technique. After all, Qiu Fenglan had awakened a year earlier than Kang Xinmu. She was more familiar with the dragon's skill than Kang Xinmu, and had more experience in using the dragon skill. Looks like this Kang Xinmu is nothing much. It took him so long to deal with Qiu Fenglan. That's right. In the other battles, the strongest genius of the Meng tribe, Meng Chou, defeated his opponent in one move. That's what I call fun. Looks like everyone's rumors about Kang Xinmu are too exaggerated. This kid does not have the strength that the rumors say. You're wrong. He did not take out the halberd of Heavenly Saint. Otherwise, Qiu Fenglan would have lost. Hee, too naive. Even Meng Chou could not use all his strength. But he still defeated his opponent in one move. That's called strength. At that moment, everyone was in a heated discussion. Their evaluation of Kang Xinmu was getting lower and lower. In fact, Kang Xinmu was only adapting to Qiu Fenglan's battle style and rhythm. He was also trying to use his devouring power to devour his opponent's wind talent power, so as to increase his own resistance to the wind talent power. Kang Xinmu had previously tried devouring his opponent's talent power, as well as the power within the body of the demonic beast. The dragon body's resistance to the power could be increased for up to 10 days, which meant that he could start devouring from now on. By absorbing and increasing his resistance, Kang Xinmu would still be able to enjoy it on the last day of the finals. This was Kang Xinmu's goal. As the battle slowly progressed, he continued to devour his opponent's talent power. This made his resistance to the wind power stronger and stronger. If he were to meet an opponent with the wind talent power again, it would be much easier. He did not have any impatience. He slowly confronted Qiu Fenglan. Although he could not get close to his opponent, no matter how his opponent used the dragon martial skill or attacked him with the wind blades, he was completely unable to hurt him. On the surface of the black dragon's body, a layer of purple magic crystal was faintly discernible. It was like a layer of hard purple rock. Under the attack of the wind blades, there was a sound of metal clashing, but it did not move at all. Chapter 39-36. Kang Xinmu and Qiu Fenglan's battle was still going on. On the other arenas, the second round of battles had already begun. Quite a few people began to complain. The battle between these two was really too boring. If every battle was like this, just the preliminaries alone would take a month to complete. However, Kang Xinmu ignored the words of the spectators. He focused on devouring Qiu Fenglan's wind power. If this continued, Qiu Fenglan would win. After all, she was in the god martial arts realm, and the talent power in her body was stronger. Soon, the power in Kang Xinmu's body would be used up, and then he would be a lamb waiting to be slaughtered. Unfortunately, before that moment arrived, Kang Xinmu finally chose to activate the dragon-grade weapon, the halberd of Heavenly Saint. Endless golden light burst out, and along with his rapidly flying black dragon, many golden halberds instantly formed, blocking Qiu Fenglan's path, stopping her from moving forward. Finally out? Qiu Fenglan clenched her teeth. She already knew that Kang Xinmu had a dragon-grade weapon. Now that he used it, it was indeed effective, blocking her path. Then, a terrifying power swept over from behind. The gigantic black dragon's body suddenly bit down, smashing her dragon body heavily onto the martial arena. The black dragon's body, which was hundreds of meters long, was like an eagle that had caught a small snake, firmly pressing her opponent onto the martial arena. I admit defeat. Qiu Fenglan knew that she had lost, but she was not disappointed. Instead, she was relieved. She had been chased by Kang Xinmu all this time, and was always in a nervous state. She was also constantly paying attention to whether Kang Xinmu was going to use his dragon-grade weapon. In the end, she found some clues, but she could not stop it in time. Or rather, she had no way to deal with the halberd of Heavenly Saint, so she could only admit defeat. I won, and I devoured a lot of wind power. My resistance to wind attribute talent power has increased by 30%. Kang Shinmu returned to his human form and left the arena. He was quite satisfied with the result of this battle. This Kang Shinmu has already used a dragon-grade dragon weapon in the first round. It's obvious that his overall strength isn't very strong. That's right. He has already used his trump card right from the start. It is basically impossible for him to win against Meng Tianqing and Zhang Shijin. Looks like this kid is just relying on the Shi tribe to flaunt his prowess. His true strength is nothing much. Many people began to discuss Kang Shinmu's performance. But Kang Shinmu did not care. He returned to the Jiang clan spectator stands. His first battle was over, and there were no more battles for the rest of the day. He could enjoy watching the battles to his heart's content. Kang Shinmu, are you alright? Jiang Yuaning asked with concern when she saw him. Don't worry, of course I'm fine. Kang Shinmu smiled. He was still very gentle to Jiang Yuaning. The other Jiang clan martial cultivators were very dissatisfied with Kang Shinmu's performance. He could have quickly killed his opponent and boosted our Jiang clan's morale. Why did he drag it out for so long? That's right. He even used a dragon-grade dragon weapon to defeat his opponent. He might as well give the dragon-grade dragon weapon to our Jiang Liuxue. That way, he would definitely achieve a better result. That's right, a dragon-grade dragon weapon. Such a treasure can only be used by the right person. Kang Shinmu, why don't you give it to Jiang Liuxue? That way, you will be making a contribution to the Jiang clan. Many people began to discuss the topic of the dragon-grade dragon weapon. Kang Shinmu's expression turned cold. The dragon-grade dragon weapon belongs to me. I'll handle it however I want. Do I need you to interfere? Alright, calm down. Watch the competition. Seeing this, Jiang Rong immediately stopped the crowd from continuing. After all, he did not dare to offend Kang Shinmu. Today is the first day of the competition. Take a good look at the opponents you will encounter in the next 4 days. The more familiar you are with your opponent, the higher your chance of winning. Do you understand? After being reprimanded by Shi Yueying, Jiang Rong's attitude was much better. But Kang Shinmu understood that it was all for the sake of the Shi clan residents. It had nothing to do with him. Because of this, he needed to participate in the clan tournament to prove himself, so that he could obtain enough power to pull Jiang Rong down from the position of patriarch. For Kang Shinmu, the first 3 days of battles were not stressful. The most important ones were the last 2 days, Meng Tianqing and Zhang Shijin. One was an inheritor of the 4th level of the Divine Martial Realm, and the other was an inheritor of the 2nd level of the Divine Martial Realm, Heavenly Dragon. Meng Tianqing is up. Kang Shinmu began to observe with narrowed eyes. Meng Tianqing's divine dragon blood was the same as his, a black dragon. But his innate ability was the power of death, which could gradually deprive the opponent of their vitality. However, the deprived vitality could not be used by Meng Tianqing himself. This was the difference between Meng Tianqing and Kang Shinmu's devouring power. But the key was that the power of death was a kind of shadow innate ability. It could be complemented by the dragon martial skill, which could display a stronger lethality. It was not like Kang Shinmu's devouring power, which could only be used to corrode the opponent's body. Meng Tianqing only used one move to defeat his opponent at the peak of the Dragon Ascension realm. Then he looked provocatively at Kang Shinmu, not putting him in his eyes. To defeat you, I don't need to use my full strength. Meng Tianqing stood on the martial stage and said to Kang Shinmu. Then he turned around and returned to the Meng tribal clan spectator stand. Good. Meng Tianqing, well done. For a moment, the Meng tribal clan spectator stand burst into cheers. They were all cheering for Meng Tianqing's provocation of Kang Shinmu. This was because it boosted their Meng tribal clan's morale. Most importantly, it had completely suppressed the recent highlight of Dragon Prison City, Kang Shinmu. This allowed the Meng tribal clan to gain the attention of more divine dragon experts. As for the Jiang tribal clan, they could not raise their heads at this time. This made the Jiang tribal clan's opinion of Kang Xinmu even greater. Even when Jiang Liuxue fought and easily defeated a first-stage divine martial realm true dragon blood inheritor, it did not make people pay more attention to the Jiang tribal clan. After all, although Jiang Liuxue was an inheritor of the heavenly dragon blood, he was only at the first stage of the divine martial realm. His cultivation was too low, and it would be difficult for him to enter the top 20. In such an occasion, only the top experts would receive the attention of people. For example, the Meng tribal clan's super genius Meng Chou, and the Zhang tribal clan's super genius Zhang Feng. Just from the first battle on the first day, many powerful geniuses had emerged. For someone like Jiang Liuxue, it was simply not enough in the clan martial competition. It would be difficult for him to get into the top 20, let alone obtain a shocking result. Kang Xinmu watched the many geniuses fight on the martial stage. He could not help but feel his blood boil. Chapter 39-37. In the next 2 days, Kang Xinmu did not encounter any major problems. On the second day, his opponents were the inheritors of the true dragon blood essence at the second tier of the divine martial realm, and on the third day, they were the sky dragon inheritors at the peak of the dragon ascension realm. For him, they were all opponents that he could easily defeat. However, he chose to devour his opponent's talent power every time, and only when his strength was about to be exhausted did he use his means to defeat his opponent. The consequence of this was that every time he fought, he had to drag on for a long time, causing everyone's estimation of Kang Xinmu's strength to become lower and lower. If even such a weak opponent took so long to win, wouldn't it be impossible for him to be a match for Meng Tianqing? Although this guess had been made at the beginning, as the 3 days passed, more and more people thought that Kang Xinmu was not good enough. Even the holy dragon Shi Tao sometimes frowned, because he did not expect that Kang Xinmu would take so long to deal with such a weak opponent. Although he had not used the third-grade dragon martial technique, it was impossible for him to fight like this with just the dragon-grade dragon weapon. However, every time, Kang Xinmu had to wait until the last moment to activate the dragon-grade halberd of Heavenly Saint, causing each battle to drag on for a long time. Seeing this situation, Shi Yueying's eyes lit up. She knew more about Kang Xinmu than her father, the holy dragon Shi Tao. She knew that Kang Xinmu was most likely preparing for the last 2 days of the battle, but as for what he was preparing, she was not clear. She only knew that it should be related to Kang Xinmu's devouring talent power, but she could not think of anything more specific. Over the past 3 days, more and more experts had emerged. The genius dragon martial artists from the 17 clans competed on the same stage. On the first day, many people did not meet any worthy opponents, but on the second and third days, many battles on the fighting stage were evenly matched, and many genius dragon martial artists had revealed their true strength. It could be said that so far, there were already more than 50 genius dragon martial artists whose performance far surpassed that of Kang Xinmu. At least on the surface, they looked much stronger than Kang Xinmu. Unfortunately, no one knew that Kang Xinmu was only preparing for the upcoming battle. On the first day, I devoured the wild wind innate ability. On the second day, I devoured the fire innate ability. On the third day, I devoured some kind of dark innate ability. It just so happened to be useful against Meng Tianqing. Kang Xinmu thought to himself. He was now fully confident that he could defeat Meng Tianqing. Now that he had transformed into a black dragon, he naturally had a 30% resistance to darkness attributed innate abilities. His resistance was extremely strong, and any attack from his opponent could only have a 70% effect in front of Kang Xinmu. This was Kang Xinmu's greatest guarantee against Meng Tianqing. Meng Tianqing was the inheritor of the blood essence of a real dragon, who was at the 4th level of the god martial arts realm. Although the strength of his divine dragon body was not as strong as that of Kang Xinmu, his talent was much stronger. It was even possible that he could defeat Kang Xinmu in one move. Fortunately, Kang Xinmu now had a certain resistance to the shadow innate ability, so he did not need to be afraid of his opponent's sudden explosion. And as long as his opponent could not instantly kill Kang Xinmu, the final victor would most likely be Kang Shinmu. This was because during the battle, he could continue to devour his opponent's shadow innate ability of death, thereby increasing his resistance to his opponent's strength. This made Kang Shinmu not worry about his battle with Meng Tianqing on the fourth day. But no one in the arena knew about this. Even Shi Yueying could only roughly guess, not to mention the others. So in the arena, many people were discussing that Kang Shinmu would most likely lose to Meng Tianqing. As such, the Jiang clan's results would not be good. If Kang Shinmu lost to his opponent on the fifth day, Zhang Shijian, then he might not even pass the preliminaries. Everyone in the Jiang clan was worried. They wanted him to hand over the dragon-grade weapon, the halberd of Heaven Saint, so that Jiang Liuxue could obtain a better result. This time, even Jiang Rong could not be bothered to suppress these discussions. He allowed Kang Shinmu to be attacked by the other genius dragon warriors of the Jiang clan. Among them, Jiang Fengqing's tone was the fiercest. Jiang Liuxue's opponents are not very strong. If you hand over the dragon-grade weapon to Jiang Liuxue today, she will familiarize herself with it for 2 days. In the preliminaries and finals, she will definitely bring glory to our Jiang clan. You should think about our Jiang clan. Don't be so selfish. Even though Kang Shinmu did not want to care about these people, he had become extremely disgusted with them after being talked about like this every day. Today, he finally could not stand it anymore. He scanned the crowd and coldly said, "All of you, shut up. When it comes to selfishness, who can compare to you? The dragon-grade weapon is mine. If you want it, go get it with your own ability. Don't pester me endlessly." He had not said anything or made any noise, but now he could not stand it any longer. He could not stand this group of people from the Jiang clan. If not for the Jiang in his name, he really did not want to stay in the tribe. In the entire Jiang clan, the only people who could affect Kang Shinmu's heart were Jiang Yuaning and his mother, Gu Yuero, who stayed in Dragon City. Of course, there were still many decent people in the great Jiang Dragon City. It was just that the so-called genius dragon martial artists who came to participate in the clan martial competition this time were simply too outrageous. Yo, having a dragon-grade weapon is amazing. Do you have the ability to get a good result in the clan tournament? That's right, having a dragon-grade weapon but not even passing the preliminaries is a disgrace to our Jiang clan. The crowd continued to talk. Kang Shinmu could not be bothered to say more. Because his battle with Meng Tianqing was about to begin. It was only because he was no match for Meng Tianqing that the Jiang clan fellows dared to be so arrogant. In a moment, the truth would speak for itself. In the spectator stands, the 5 sacred dragon experts were all present. Among them, Sacred Dragon Shi Tao and Sacred Dragon Xia Yan were most concerned about the battle between Kang Shinmu and Meng Tianqing. After all, Kang Shinmu was an extraordinary person. He had helped the Shi clan win a dragon-grade weapon, causing the Xia clan to suffer heavy losses and lose face. I want to see how Kang Shinmu will perform against Meng Tianqing. Humph, Sacred Dragon Xia Yan snorted coldly. He was not optimistic about Kang Shinmu. Back when Kang Shinmu fought against Xia Tianhan, he had used all his skills and barely survived. Now, against Meng Tianqing, who was 3 levels stronger, it was impossible for him to win. In Xia Yan's view, Kang Shinmu had not made any progress in this period of time. Even his cultivation was still at the peak of the Dragon Ascension realm. Many people had the same view. Under the watchful eyes of countless people, Kang Shinmu finally stepped onto the stage. Chapter 39-38. Kang Shinmu did not waste any more words with his opponent. He transformed into a sky dragon, 1,000 feet long. He wandered in the sky of the arena, and his aura instantly suppressed Meng Tianqing. Both were black dragons, but there was a difference in size. Basically, Meng Tianqing was only half the size of Kang Shinmu. But looking at their innate powers, Meng Tianqing's divine dragon body was covered in a thick layer of pitch-black innate power. His entire body was filled with an aura of death. As the cultivation of the dragon warriors in the god martial arts realm increased, their talent power became stronger and stronger, which could be seen from the outside. When comparing the innate powers of both sides, it was as if one was in the sky and the other was on the ground. Just based on innate power, Meng Tianxing was at least twice as strong as Kang Xinmu. However, Kang Xinmu was not afraid of his opponent, because he believed that his overall strength was about the same as his opponent's. In addition to the power of darkness that he had devoured on the third day of the clan tournament, he had great confidence in dealing with Meng Tianxing. "Cut the crap, let's fight." Kang Xinmu coldly snorted and stepped onto the arena. The two black dragons faced each other, attracting the attention of countless dragon warriors in the arena. Although there were other dragon warriors fighting fiercely on the other arenas, there was no doubt that the arena where Kang Xinmu and Meng Tianxing were on had attracted the attention of all the dragon warriors in the spectator stands. In the Meng tribal clan's spectator stands, there was a burst of cheers. "Meng Tianxing! Meng Tianxing!" The cheers rose like a tide, giving Meng Tianxing an aura of absolute victory. In contrast, in the Jiang tribal clan's spectator stands, there was basically no one cheering. The only one cheering for Kang Xinmu was Jiang Yuaning. But her voice was completely drowned out by the cheers of the audience, and could not be heard at all. Many of the Jiang tribal clan's dragon warriors were sneering, as if they were waiting for Kang Xinmu to be defeated. Then they could further humiliate Kang Xinmu, and at the same time force him to hand over the dragon-grade weapon, in the arena. Since Kang Xinmu was facing Meng Tianxing, he had already forgotten everything except for Meng Tianxing. He only had one goal at the moment, and that was to defeat Meng Tianxing, a formidable opponent at the 4th level of the god martial arts realm. "Brat, die!" Meng Tianxing's pitch-black innate power suddenly surged and condensed into two pitch-black light pillars that shot towards Kang Xinmu. This was a grade 4 attack-type dragon martial technique. It was capable of condensing darkness-type talents and turning them into a beam of light to bombard the opponent. Combined with Meng Tianxing's death energy aura, it could often kill the opponent in an instant. Under the bombardment of the death energy, no dragon martial artist would be able to resist the corrosion and destruction of the death energy on their bodies. They could only use their innate ability to resist and disintegrate the opponent's attack. However, Kang Xinmu was not worried that his opponent would kill him instantly. Mana crystals. Halberd of the Heavenly Saint. Without hesitation, Kang Xinmu's body burst with golden light and a layer of purple mana crystals appeared on the surface of his divine dragon body. He actually turned around and collided with one of the dark light pillars. The black dragon body, which was hundreds of meters long, seemed to have broken through the darkness and broke through the dark light pillar. The golden holy light on the surface of his divine dragon body and the layer of purple mana crystals basically did not suffer much damage. Meng Tianxing could not help but be stunned by this scene. The many dragon martial artists on the spectator stand were also a little stunned. What kind of powerful defense was that? In the battles in the past 3 days, everyone had seen Meng Tianxing use this grade 4 dragon martial technique to kill his opponent in one blow and directly blast him off the stage with serious injuries. Therefore, countless people recognized Meng Tianxing's strength. Because of this, so many people felt that it was impossible for Kang Xinmu to defeat Meng Tianxing. After all, their impression of Kang Xinmu was that he would take a long time to deal with some weaklings. Naturally, he would not be as strong as Meng Tianxing, but they had just discovered a very important factor. That was, in the battles in the past 3 days, although Kang Xinmu took a long time to finish off his opponents, he was never injured. Previously, they did not feel anything, but now, after Kang Xinmu broke through Meng Tianxing's attack, countless people realized this point. That was, Kang Xinmu's defense was probably extremely strong. However, it is impossible to defeat Meng Tianxing just by relying on his strong defense. Meng Tianxing's defense is definitely not weak. That's right. Kang Xinmu took such a long time to deal with his previous opponents, and almost exhausted his strength. So, it is impossible for him to defeat Meng Tianxing. If he can defeat Meng Tianxing, doesn't it mean that this kid is already nature-defying? You should know that this kid is only at the peak of the Dragon Ascension realm. He has not even stepped into the divine martial arts realm. Everyone immediately started discussing, but still, no one felt that Kang Shinmu could defeat Kang Shinmu. Isn't it just a slightly stronger defense? Isn't it all because of that dragon-grade dragon weapon? On the Jiang clan's side, Jiang Fengqing and the others were all unhappy. Seeing Kang Shinmu in the limelight, her mood reflexively turned bad. She had never thought that if Kang Shinmu could defeat his opponent, it would be a great encouragement to the Jiang clan. Your defense is quite strong, but you still have a long way to go if you want to defeat me. Meng Tianxing sneered. He was also surprised that Kang Shinmu could block his attack head-on, but it was not his strongest dragon martial skill. It was just a very ordinary attack. Although it was a grade 4 dragon martial skill, it had only been cultivated to the earth grade. A grade 5 dragon martial skill cultivated to the dragon grade could easily crush this attack. Then, he saw that Kang Shinmu did not seem to have any intention of dodging. His entire divine dragon body suddenly rose up, bringing with it the pitch-black power of death. Unexpectedly, it exploded into a black tornado that connected the heavens and the earth. This black tornado suddenly swept towards Kang Shinmu's direction. The aura of death instantly enveloped the entire arena. Even the dragon warriors outside the arena could feel the terrifying power contained in this black tornado. If you have the ability, try rushing in again. Meng Tianxing's face was full of disdain as he coldly snorted at Kang Shinmu. He knew that Kang Shinmu most likely would not rush in. Otherwise, wouldn't that be courting death? This was a dragon martial skill that he had cultivated to the dragon grade. Its destructive power was extremely terrifying. Coupled with his cultivation of the 4th tier of the divine martial arts realm, he could instantly kill an ordinary heavenly dragon inheritor at the peak of the Dragon Ascension realm. If Kang Shinmu rushed in, it would be exactly what he wanted. It would be too stupid. However, what he didn't expect was that Jiang Shenwu only took a glance at the black tornado and estimated its destructive power. A glimmer of light appeared in his eyes, and the devouring power covered his entire body. The purple magical crystal appeared again. Devour. Kang Shinmu roared in his heart. His entire divine dragon body rushed into the black tornado. Chapter 39-39. No one had expected that Kang Shinmu would actually rush straight into the black tornado. Wasn't that courting death? Meng Tianxing was a powerful existence at the 4th level of the divine martial realm. His talent had been raised to a level that was difficult for Jiang Lushi to resist. This black tornado was a death tornado, and it was a 4th grade dragon martial skill that he had cultivated to the dragon level. Would Jiang Shenwu be able to withstand such a move and imposing manner? Danger! Jiang Yuaning stood up from the spectator stand, her body trembling. She was nervous for Kang Shinmu's safety. He's really courting death. Jiang Fengqing and the other dragon warriors of the Jiang clan all sneered. They didn't believe that Jiang Shenwu would be able to withstand the black tornado-like attack. It was very likely that Jiang Shenwu would die on the martial stage. If that happened, Jiang Liuxue might have a chance to obtain the dragon-grade dragon weapon. Jiang Rong's palms were sweating. He had hoped to see Kang Shinmu die in the arena. That way, the conflict between him and the Shi clan would be resolved, and his position as patriarch would be more secure. But he felt that Kang Shinmu was unlikely to die. Because all along, Kang Shinmu had been too outstanding. From the beginning of the Jiang clan's training, Kang Shinmu's performance had been outstanding. Originally, he thought that Jiang Yuaning had led Kang Shinmu to obtain such a good result. But now, it seemed that it was the other way around. Kang Shinmu, who had just awakened as a dragon warrior, was already so terrifying. What about now? Although his opponent, Meng Tianxing, was very powerful, and Jiang Rong did not think that Kang Shinmu was Meng Tianxing's match. But now, when he saw Jiang Shenwu taking the initiative to charge into the pitch-black whirlwind of death, a sense of fear arose in his heart for no reason. He felt that since Jiang Shenwu had chosen to charge in himself, he was most likely confident. Otherwise, why would he take the initiative to throw away his life like this? Only Jiang Liushue's clear and cold face remained expressionless from the very beginning. When the surrounding dragon warriors of the Jiang clan said that they wanted Kang Shinmu to hand over the dragon-grade weapon to her, she did not even glance at the people around her. Instead, she was carefully observing the many experts fighting on the arena. She was making inferences about other things from one instance. Her main goal was to observe the opponent she was about to meet, so that she could obtain victory in the following battles. Now, seeing that Kang Shinmu had taken the initiative to barge into Meng Tianqing's pitch-black death tornado, she was a little surprised, but she didn't show any special expression. In her heart, she didn't think that Kang Shinmu would lose to Meng Tianqing. She had a feeling that Kang Shinmu's current strength was definitely not weaker than hers. In fact, he was much stronger than her. The long battle in the past 3 days should have some special purpose. Meng Tianqing. Meng Tianqing. The people of the Meng tribe and the dragon warriors in the spectator stands were already roaring in excitement. Seeing Kang Shinmu charge into the black tornado, they all felt that Kang Shinmu was doomed. This was because the death tornado contained an aura of death. Once it entered the divine dragon's body, it would cause the divine dragon's body to rot. The Shi clan, Xia clan, and other divine dragon warriors in the spectator stands, as well as the 2 girls, Shi Yueying and Shi Yutong, all had different expressions. Seeing Kang Shinmu charge into the black tornado, the crowd instantly tensed up. The tens of thousands of dragon warriors were all focused on Kang Shinmu. Some hoped that he would survive, but most hoped that he would die. However, as some people thought, since Kang Shinmu took the initiative to charge into the black tornado, he naturally had absolute confidence. The devouring power enveloped his divine dragon body, constantly devouring the power of the black tornado around him. It weakened the innate death power that could touch his divine dragon body to the extreme. Under the protection of the heavenly sacred halberd's golden light, the innate death power around him was constantly weakened. Magic crystals constantly condensed on the surface of his body. While they were constantly being eroded by the innate death power, they were constantly recovering. In the process of devouring his opponent's innate death power, Kang Shinmu's resistance to this power was constantly increasing. It became easier and easier for him to resist the black tornado. In the center of the black tornado, no one in the spectator stands could see what was happening. But Meng Tianqing gradually felt that something was wrong. He was able to control the power within this pitch-black tornado. He could sense that when Jiang Shenwu charged into the pitch-black tornado, the power of the entire tornado was in the process of being continuously weakened. On one hand, the attack did not cause any damage to Kang Shinmu. On the other hand, Kang Shinmu seemed to be using some kind of method to devour his power. Right, this kid's innate ability is the devouring power. He can devour the power of other dragon warriors. Meng Tianqing thought of the rumors he had heard before and finally started to pay attention to Kang Shinmu. Originally, he did not take Kang Shinmu seriously. Hence, he did not specially study Kang Shinmu's means. Now that he thought about it, he felt that this kid was very strange. The black tornado that Kang Shinmu used was a dragon grade for dragon martial technique. If it could not do anything to Kang Shinmu, then he would really have to exhaust the power in Kang Shinmu's body to defeat him. However, it doesn't matter if you exhaust it. No matter how strong your defense is, the stronger my attack, the faster I can exhaust the power in your body. Meng Tianqing raised his hand, and the pitch-black innate death power that filled the sky condensed again. It turned into more black tornadoes that descended from the sky and directly blasted into the original black tornado. As a supplement, they swept towards Kang Shinmu endlessly. The aura of death almost completely enveloped Kang Shinmu. In the black tornado, Kang Shinmu's divine dragon body could no longer be seen. Only the violent tornadoes formed by the innate death power were left, sweeping the entire area. Powerful, so powerful. Kang Shinmu gritted his teeth. His 300 zhang long black dragon body soared in the black tornado. Even the golden light formed by the heavenly saint's halberd was drowned by the darkness and death power. The purple demonic crystal on his body was constantly eroded and condensed again. At this time, Kang Shinmu began to consume the heavenly demon's monster core that he had prepared in advance. Just like when he faced Xia Tianhan's self-explosion, he could not hold on much longer. However, as long as he devoured the power in the monster core, he could hold on for a longer time. Then, he would use this time to continuously devour the pitch-black innate death power and strengthen his resistance against it. The innate power of a dragon warrior in the divine martial realm was very strong, but Kang Shinmu could increase his resistance against this power by devouring it. This was his greatest advantage. Chapter 39-40. During the process of the clan martial competition, it was forbidden to take any elixirs. But the demon core was not included. No one had ever been able to use the demon core to increase their battle strength, so there was no such rule. Therefore, even if Kang Shinmu was discovered, he did not need to be afraid of being punished. He swallowed the demon core of the sky demon, and the power of devouring transformed the power of heaven in the demon core into pure energy, which constantly helped to heal his injuries, and made the purple magic crystal on the surface of his divine dragon body constantly regenerate. In this way, even the violent pitch-black tornado could not cause any fatal damage to Kang Shinmu. In the process of continuous regeneration, Kang Shinmu's resistance to the innate power of death became stronger and stronger. Gradually, the death storm was unable to cause any harm to him. The golden light of the heavenly sacred halberd once again penetrated through the pitch-black tornado, appearing in the eyes of the many dragon martial artists in the spectator stands. This scene caused many people to be shocked. Originally, the pitch-black tornado had completely submerged Kang Shinmu, and now the golden light appeared again. What did this mean? Could it be that even so, it was still unable to kill that kid? On the entire martial arena, almost everyone stood up and stared unblinkingly at the arena. They watched as the pitch-black tornado continued to weaken and disperse, until Kang Shinmu's 100 zhanglong black dragon body suddenly rushed out from the crowd. At this moment, Kang Shinmu once again saw the sky. In front of him, the 4 zhanglong black dragon Meng Tianqing had already become a defeated opponent, and could no longer be his opponent. Even though the opponent's martial arts realm had reached the 4th level of the divine martial realm, and his innate power was several times stronger, Kang Shinmu's resistance to the innate power of death had almost reached the limit. After devouring such a dense whirlwind of death power, none of the opponent's dragon martial skills could cause too much of a threat to Kang Shinmu. Even the opponent's killing move could no longer kill Kang Shinmu. Sky-piercing dragon shadow. Kang Shinmu's figure turned, and his entire black dragon body sped through the air, instantly rushing towards Meng Tianqing. Courting death. Although Meng Tianqing was surprised that Kang Shinmu could break through his death storm, he did not know the specifics. He still did not think that Kang Shinmu was a match for him. He let out a cold snort, and the pitch-black color on his body suddenly increased. It was actually an earth-grade dragon weapon. It had fused with his innate power of death, and formed a pitch-black dragon claw that grabbed at Kang Shinmu. Sky Saint Halberd, break! Kang Shinmu immediately bellowed. The heavenly Saint Halberd transformed into a boundless golden light that pierced through the air in the blink of an eye, blocking the pitch-black dragon claws. On the martial stage, violent energy exploded. Golden light and black light collided fiercely, and the distance between the two black dragons continued to shrink. Occasionally, a pitch-black dragon claw fell on Kang Shinmu, but Meng Tianqing found that Kang Shinmu did not dodge, and let the black dragon claw fall on him. Originally, Meng Tianqing hoped that this round of attacks could seriously injure Kang Shinmu. But soon, he found that when his black dragon claw fell on Kang Shinmu's divine dragon body, it did not even leave a scratch. It was all blocked by the purple magic crystal. Is that a body-tempering dragon martial skill? This guy. Meng Tianqing gritted his teeth, and his entire black dragon body suddenly moved. With a flick of his dragon tail, a pitch-black death storm condensed again, and his entire black dragon body actually disappeared in this pitch-black storm, disappearing in front of everyone. Originally, Meng Tianqing used the pitch-black death force to condense a storm tornado to attack Kang Xinmu, but now, he used this move to protect himself, so that Kang Xinmu could not find his exact position. Kill! With a golden light, Kang Xinmu's black dragon body rushed into the pitch-black tornado. He did not manage to catch Meng Tianqing's divine dragon body, but immediately after, a terrifying pitch-black beam of light suddenly swept up from below, taking advantage of him being unprepared. The innate death force fused with the pitch-black earth-level dragon weapon, and the terrifying power almost penetrated Kang Xinmu's entire divine dragon body. Fortunately, Kang Xinmu's resistance to the innate death force was strong enough, and did not die from this blow. Instead, he took the opportunity to grasp the opponent's position, and with a flick of his tail, he suddenly rushed down. Roaring Sky Dragon Claw. The dragon martial skill that carried the golden light of the heavenly sacred halberd fell heavily, instantly grabbing the black dragon body that Meng Tianqing had transformed into, and the terrifying force smashed Meng Tianqing heavily into the martial arena. The pitch-black death tornado was smashed into pieces in an instant, and the bodies of two black dragons appeared in the martial arena, once again reflected in the eyes of the many dragon martial artists in the spectator stands. Caught! Meng Tianqing has been caught. Could it be that he really is not a match for Kang Xinmu? Too scary, too scary. Many dragon martial artists were completely shocked, stunned by the situation in the martial arena. No matter what, they did not expect that Kang Xinmu would be so fierce, to be able to suppress Meng Tianqing to this extent. Most importantly, this kid had been fighting head-on since the beginning of the martial arena. No matter what kind of dragon martial skill it was, he would face it head-on, without the slightest fear. This kind of brave and vigorous momentum infected all the dragon martial artists in the martial arena. Even those who originally looked down on Kang Xinmu, thought that Kang Xinmu would be defeated, and even hoped that he would die in the martial arena, were now completely shocked. They never thought that a battle between dragon martial artists could be so hot-blooded, and they actually fought with their flesh and blood. On Kang Xinmu's divine dragon body, there was a big bloody hole that kept flowing dragon blood, but he did not care at all. Shadow. Dragon Fang Transformation. Kang Xinmu smashed Meng Tianqing heavily on the martial arena, causing him to feel dizzy. In the next moment, the third-grade dragon martial skill that Kang Xinmu had just successfully cultivated was finally executed. The devouring power turned into one shadow-sharp dragon fang after another, raining down on Meng Tianqing like a torrential rain. Scram! Meng Tianqing was now furious. He did not expect that he would be so humiliated by dealing with a mere Kang Xinmu. How could the gap between a true dragon and a sky dragon be so huge? The innate death energy in his body skyrocketed, and the earth-grade dragon weapon was also pushed to its limit. Layers of innate death energy barriers enveloped his divine dragon body, blocking the razor-sharp dragon fangs. In the next moment, the shadow dragon fang transformation landed on his opponent's defensive dragon martial skill barrier. At the same time, the golden light from the heavenly sacred halberd continued to fall, forming golden halberds. Accompanied by the shadow dragon fang transformation, golden meteors rained down, bombarding Meng Tianqing's body. Tyrannical energy collided, the power of death and the power of devouring exploded, forming a terrifying energy vortex on the martial arena. Chapter 39-41. Meng Tianqing's defense had finally been broken. The current situation could be described as Meng Tianqing being pinned to the ground by Kang Xinmu. Meng Tianqing, who had been so awe-inspiring at the start, was now powerless to fight back. Although Kang Xinmu's black dragon body was bleeding, he had completely suppressed Meng Tianqing, making it impossible for him to turn the tables. At this moment, all the dragon martialists in the spectator stands were silent. In the spectator stands of the Shi clan, Shi Yueying and Shi Yutong clasped their hands tightly, their clear eyes filled with joy. Although they had great faith in Kang Xinmu, they could not help but worry for Kang Xinmu when they saw Meng Tianqing's ferocious display in the martial arena. Fortunately, Kang Xinmu had managed to turn the tables and defeat Meng Tianqing in the end. I admit defeat. The moment Meng Tianqing admitted defeat, the entire arena fell silent. In the spectator stands of the Xia clan, Sacred Dragon Xia Yan snorted coldly. Trash. He had originally thought that Meng Tianqing would be able to defeat Kang Xinmu. He had not expected that the kid would be pinned to the ground by Kang Xinmu. This was truly disappointing. This made Kang Xinmu's reputation even stronger, which did not benefit the Xia clan at all. However, Sacred Dragon Shi Tao of the Shi clan chuckled and narrowed his eyes. He was very satisfied with Kang Xinmu's performance. In a situation where everyone had expected him to lose to Meng Tianqing, Kang Xinmu had actually managed to turn the tables in such a manner. Even Shi Tao's blood had been stirred up. The Sacred Dragon martialists of the other three mansions were discussing something with the people in their respective mansions as they pointed at Kang Xinmu. They were discussing Kang Xinmu's strength. After all, after this person's rise, it was very likely that he would become a fierce member of the Shi clan and their respective competitors. If one Sacred Dragon mansion became stronger, it would suppress the other Sacred Dragon mansions. Hence, the other four Sacred Dragon mansions were unwilling to see Kang Xinmu's rise. Fortunately, Jiang Shenwu had only killed an inheritor of the true dragon's blood essence. No matter how early Meng Tianqing had awakened, he was still only an inheritor of the true dragon's blood essence. Compared to the inheritors of the heavenly dragon, there was indeed an inherent disadvantage. Even though Meng Tianqing had reached the fourth stage of the divine martial arts realm, it was understandable that he could not defeat the Sky Dragon inheritor. On the Jiang clan spectator stand, Jiang Yuaning revealed a look of joy. Kang Xinmu had finally won, and he had won beautifully. Although he was injured, Meng Tianqing was no longer as powerful as before. If he had not admitted defeat early, he would have been killed by Kang Xinmu on the spot. Obviously, Kang Xinmu had the ability to kill Meng Tianqing. The other people of the Jiang clan did not speak. Jiang Fengqin, who had been clamoring for Kang Xinmu to hand over the halberd of Heavenly Saint, now looked as if she had eaten feces. Her face was flushed red, and she could not believe what had happened. The kid she had always looked down on, Kang Xinmu, had actually defeated Meng Tianqing, who was at the fourth stage of the divine martial arts realm. It should be known that even if Jiang Liuxue were to step up, it would be extremely difficult for him to deal with Meng Tianqing. Yet, Jiang Shenwu had actually used such a ferocious method to defeat him. From this, it could be seen that Jiang Shenwu's strength was completely on par with Jiang Liuxue's. Of course, Jiang Fengqin still looked down on Kang Xinmu. She sneered, "It's just the advantage of a dragon weapon. What's there to be proud of?" Jiang Liuxue did not participate in the crusade against Kang Xinmu. Her focus was completely different from the rest of the Jiang clan. What she wanted was the rise of strength, so she paid close attention to the battle. As for what happened to Kang Xinmu, it had nothing to do with her. Of course, she would also pay attention to Jiang Shenwu's battle, but the reason was that it was very likely that she would meet Jiang Shenwu on the martial arena. In this case, only by knowing oneself and knowing the enemy could one emerge victorious in 100 battles. In the Meng tribal clan spectator stands, everyone was surprised that Meng Tianqing had lost. But this did not affect their view of Kang Xinmu. Even if he defeated Meng Tianqing, he's just a kid at the Dragon Ascension realm. He only defeated Meng Tianqing by relying on the dragon weapon and the Sky Dragon's blood essence. That's right. Meng Tianqing's strength is only considered average among us. Any one of the bosses can crush this Kang Xinmu. It's only in the preliminaries that this kid can flaunt his prowess. When it comes to the semi-finals and finals, this kid will be quickly eliminated. The Meng tribal clan had the strongest overall strength among the 17 tribes. Their average strength was at Meng Tianqing's level, not to mention their strongest warriors. Meng Tianxing, don't worry. If we meet that kid in the semifinals, I'll avenge you. A bearded man patted Meng Tianxing on the shoulder as he returned to the spectator stands. Thank you, brother Meng Cho. Meng Tianxing was slightly injured, but not seriously. Sorry, I've embarrassed the Meng tribal clan. Don't mention it. Meng Cho laughed. Don't worry, our Meng tribal clan will eventually take first place. We don't need to care about the bottom-ranked Jiang tribal clan. Meng Cho was the strongest warrior in the Meng tribal clan. His goal was to take first place in the clan tournament, so he did not care about anyone, including Kang Xinmu. He thought that if he met Kang Xinmu, he would definitely beat Kang Xinmu into submission. In the Zhang tribal clan spectator stands. Zhang Shijian, tomorrow you'll be dealing with that kid. Let's see tomorrow's match, Kang Xinmu against Zhang Shijian. Unlike Meng Tianxing, Zhang Shijian was a sky dragon inheritor at the second tier of the divine martial realm. His overall strength was definitely stronger than Meng Tianxing's. They were both inheritors of the heavenly dragon blood essence, but Zhang Shijian's martial arts cultivation was 2 levels higher than Jiang Xinwu's. In a situation where there was no advantage in the quality of the blood essence, Zhang Shijian's talent was 2 or 3 times higher than Jiang Xinwu's. Don't worry, I'm not an idiot from the Meng tribal clan. How could I fall to a kid at the Dragon Ascension realm? Zhang Shijian sneered. His expression was cold. He did not put Kang Xinmu in his eyes at all. Although he was not the strongest in the Zhang tribal clan, he was much stronger than the Jiang tribal clan's participants. The Jiang tribal clan's strongest, Jiang Liushua, was only a sky dragon blood inheritor at the first tier of the divine martial realm. He was definitely not his match. In his view, no matter how strong Kang Xinmu was, he was only relying on the advantage of a dragon-grade dragon weapon. At most, he could offset the difference of 1 tier in cultivation. And he was 2 tiers higher than Kang Xinmu. This difference was difficult to make up for. Even if Kang Xinmu had 2 dragon weapons, it would be useless. But, Zhang Shijian, you have to be careful. The Zhang tribal clan's patriarch, Zhang Longjun, reminded him, this kid's talent is a bit strange, otherwise Meng Tianxing would not have lost. Tomorrow's match, be prepared. Got it, patriarch. Zhang Shijian nodded, his eyes flashing. Chapter 39-42. When Kang Xinmu returned to the spectator stand, Jiang Fengqing sarcastically said, today's luck is not bad, but tomorrow's opponent cannot be defeated by luck. The Zhang tribe's Zhang Shijian is rumored to have obtained the true inheritance of the sword. His talent is the hidden sword force. It is extremely sharp, and its lethality is much stronger than Meng Tianxing's death force. Jiang Yuaning read the information in her hands. It was obvious that Zhang Shijian was much more powerful than Meng Tianxing. Kang Xinmu was afraid of this kind of power. It was very penetrative, and if he was not careful, he would be seriously injured or even killed. He wouldn't even have time to recover. Moreover, Kang Xinmu had not devoured this power before, so he did not have any additional resistance against it. Indeed, it will be a little difficult to face Zhang Shijian tomorrow. Kang Xinmu nodded, but his eyes were filled with confidence. He believed that no matter how difficult it was, he would be the final victor. The main reason was that when he was fighting with Meng Tianxing, he had a faint feeling that he was about to make a breakthrough. Once he successfully entered the divine martial arts realm, he would not need to be afraid of Zhang Shijian. Tomorrow's battle could be Kang Xinmu's breakthrough battle. Although it would be a little difficult, his opponent was not invincible. Today, Kang Xinmu had defeated Meng Tianxing, which caused a wave of discussion among the spectators in the gladiatorial arena. Everyone was guessing whether Kang Xinmu could continue to defeat Zhang Shijian tomorrow and obtain a complete victory in the preliminary round. Without a doubt, most of the dragon martial artists guessed that Kang Xinmu was no match for Zhang Shijian. Because Zhang Shijian's performance in the past 4 days was too amazing. There were dragon martial artists from other clans, who were also inheritors of the heavenly dragon blood essence at the peak of the Dragon Ascension realm, which was the same cultivation as Kang Shinmu, but they were unexpectedly nailed to the martial arena by Zhang Shijian's dragon sword Qi and killed in one move. Compared to Kang Shinmu, Zhang Shijian was too strong. He was so strong that the others didn't know how Kang Shinmu was going to resist. The power of the hidden sword, which could slash through everything, contained supreme penetrative power. Unless one's talent was stronger than his, there was no way to block it. Almost no one thought that Kang Shinmu could block Zhang Shijian's attack. In the previous 4 days, Zhang Shijian had used only one sword to defeat his opponents. The resplendent and dazzling sword was unforgettable. Although Zhang Shijian wasn't the strongest in this year's clan martial competition, his concealed sword force talent was definitely one of the most destructive powers. Moreover, if he had awakened a year earlier, he might have had the chance to obtain first place in this year's clan martial competition. Simply put, it was simply impossible for Zhang Shijian to be defeated by an opponent with a lower cultivation than him. Kang Shinmu did not care about what the outsiders said. He only paid attention to his own strength. During the battle with Meng Tianqing, he had obtained a certain breakthrough. As long as he could break through to the divine martial realm when dealing with Zhang Shijian tomorrow, everything would be fine. At night, Kang Shinmu had a good night's rest. However, on this day, there were people who couldn't sleep at all. In the morning, the arena had just opened. When Kang Shinmu arrived, he saw Shi Yueying waiting with a worried expression on her pretty face. When she saw Kang Shinmu, she came up to him and said, "Kang Shinmu, you must be careful in today's battle. Zhang Shijian's methods are very strong. In the first 4 days, if he didn't deliberately show mercy, his opponent would have been killed by him with a single sword strike. Don't worry, I won't be unable to even block a single dragon sword Qi of his. Today, I will definitely defeat him." Kang Shinmu's expression turned cold as he said resolutely. He wasn't too confident right now, but if he couldn't even defeat Zhang Shijian, how could he talk about showing off in the clan martial competition and using this to drag Jiang Rong down from the position of clan leader? If he lost in the preliminaries, he might as well not participate in the clan martial competition. Yes, I believe in you. Do your best. However, if there is any danger, you must not try to be brave. With your talent, there is no need to be anxious. You must know that you have just awakened as a dragon warrior this year. Compared to Zhang Shijian, he cultivated a year earlier than you. Shi Yueying advised. All right, I promise you. Kang Shinmu nodded. He wouldn't joke around with his life. If he really wasn't a match for him, then he would give up. It wasn't a shameful thing. In any case, he had won 4 rounds, so entering the semi-finals wouldn't be a problem. When the two of them turned around and stepped into the arena, they discovered that over 10,000 dragon warriors were all looking at Kang Shinmu. Today was the last day of the clan martial competition. In the clan martial competition, many genius-level experts had already emerged, but now, everyone's target was actually Kang Shinmu. All of this was because of Kang Shinmu's identity, and he was favored by the holy dragon of the Shi clan, Shi Tao. If he could defeat Kang Shinmu, what that meant was self-evident. Today, the battle between Kang Shinmu and Zhang Shijian was the first. On the stage, Zhang Shijian was already waiting. His sharp gaze looked towards Kang Shinmu. He was waiting for the moment the match began, releasing a dazzling brilliance and breaking through Kang Shinmu's defense with a single sword strike. I heard that your defense is very strong. Zhang Shijian said indifferently, but today, the dragon's sword Qi in my hand will tell you that defense is useless. Even if you are like a mountain, I will break it with a single sword strike. Kang Shinmu did not say anything as he leaped onto the stage. All the dragon warriors in the spectator stands turned their gazes over. At this moment, the two of them were the center of attention. Although it was only a preliminary round of the clan martial competition, it was very likely that this match would be the most dazzling one in the entire clan martial competition. Once Kang Shinmu lost, the popularity of this clan martial competition would definitely not be so high. It could be said that a large portion of the people wanted to see Kang Shinmu's situation. After all, this person could affect the future of the Dragon Prison City. One had to know that Kang Shinmu was highly regarded by the holy dragon Shitao, and it was very likely that he would marry his daughter to Kang Shinmu. As for the other participants of the clan martial competition, they did not have such influence. At least, they could not see such influence for the time being. Under the attention of the crowd, Kang Shinmu and Zhang Shijin faced each other on the martial arena. Even the other 9 arenas did not have any dragon warriors fighting. This was because everyone was watching Kang Shinmu and Zhang Shijin. They wanted to see how the battle was going and did not want to miss it. This battle was also the only battle that was held alone in the 5 days of the preliminaries of the clan martial competition. At other times, the 10 arenas would basically compete together in order to save time. Thank you for giving me such an honor. But I'm sorry, your journey ends here. Zhang Shijin said coldly. Following the announcement of the start of the battle, Zhang Shijin's entire body transformed into a dragon of sharp swords, instantly tearing through the sky. His 300-meter-long divine dragon body was like a streak of sword light that pierced through the sky, striking towards Kang Shinmu like lightning. The key to his battle lies in his aura. As long as I can block his first dragon sword chi, I'll be able to stabilize myself. Kang Shinmu's face darkened. In the next moment, a 100-meter-long black dragon soared into the sky, bringing with it an awe-inspiring divine might as it met the attack head-on. This scene caused everyone's heart to beat faster. For a moment, they broke out in cold sweat for Kang Shinmu. Did this kid not want his life anymore? Chapter 39-43. In the spectator stands, everyone was worried for Kang Shinmu. It seemed that Kang Shinmu had always been straightforward. No matter who his opponent was, he would fight them head-on. It was the same when he fought against Xia Tianhan at the beginning and Meng Tianqing the day before. Now, it was the same when he faced Zhang Shijin. However, Zhang Shijin was different from the previous 2. Zhang Shijin's attack was the sharpest. The penetrative power of the dragon sword chi had reached the extreme, and it could almost instantly defeat the opponent. It was not impossible for him to kill Kang Shinmu with one strike. Yet, this kid dared to charge at him head-on? This was too stupid. It was simply. However, the situation in the arena changed in the blink of an eye. Just when everyone thought that Kang Shinmu would face it head-on, Kang Shinmu, who had transformed into a black dragon, suddenly somersaulted in midair and dodged the dragon's sword chi with lightning speed. Then, while Zhang Shijin did not expect this move, Kang Shinmu's dragon tail wrapped around the sword chi divine dragon. The purple magic crystal instantly appeared on the surface of the black dragon, and then it was continuously cut into pieces by the sword light. However, the purple magic crystal kept regenerating, and the golden light of the halberd of Heavenly Saint covered the black dragon's body, preventing the sword chi divine dragon's body from hurting Kang Shinmu at all. And Kang Shinmu took advantage of this opportunity to firmly entangle Zhang Shijin. This is planning to fight Zhang Shijin in close combat? Unbelievable. So that's how it is. Kang Shinmu did not intend to fight Zhang Shijin head-on at all. He was just putting on a show to trick Zhang Shijin. That's right. Because Kang Shinmu has been charging head-on in the previous battles, Zhang Shijin did not expect him to suddenly change his style. But what's the use of entangling Zhang Shijin? Do you think we can win? Many people in the spectator stands were shocked. Unexpectedly, Kang Shinmu had this kind of idea. He had accurately calculated Zhang Shijin's thought process and plotted against him, thus successfully entangling him. Zhang Shijin thought that Kang Shinmu wouldn't turn around, so he didn't make any preparations. Who would have thought that Kang Shinmu would suddenly turn around and dodge his sword? It was completely unexpected. Damn it. Even if you can hold me back, what's the use? Dragon sword wings. The power of the hidden sword instantly transformed into many sword chi wings, condensing on both sides of the sword chi divine dragon transformed by Zhang Shijin, wanting to pierce into the black dragon body of Kang Shinmu. Dodge. Kang Shinmu only focused on his vitals. As long as it didn't affect his life, he couldn't be bothered with it. In that instant, hundreds of sword chi wings slashed across his body. What Zhang Shijian used was a 4th-grade dragon martial technique that had been cultivated to the dragon level. Its lethality was truly terrifying. In an instant, dragon blood splattered all over Kang Shinmu's black dragon body. Hundreds of wounds appeared on his body, some of which were so deep that bones could be seen. However, even so, Kang Shinmu still tightly entangled his opponent and didn't relax in the slightest. Shadow Dragon Fang Transformation. At this time, Kang Shinmu finally used this 3rd-grade dragon martial technique. While sticking close to his opponent, the devouring power in his body transformed into the sharpest dragon fang, piercing straight at the sword chi divine dragon. Several bloody holes appeared on the sword chi divine dragon's body, but it didn't affect Zhang Shijian much. It was even more impossible for him to win. However, Kang Shinmu's devouring power took this opportunity to corrode his opponent's body. At this moment, the devouring power moved, and the blood and flesh essence of the dragon were continuously devoured into Kang Shinmu's body. At the same time, Kang Shinmu bit the sky demon core that he had previously placed in his mouth and devoured the heavenly energy within, quickly recovering his divine dragon body. There really is something strange. Die for me. Zhang Shijian felt the energy in his body flowing away. He knew that Kang Shinmu had used his innate ability and immediately became vigilant. The sword chi on his body suddenly blossomed, and the power of the hidden sword transformed into a long sword chi dragon that was released from his divine dragon body. It continuously exploded and pierced through Kang Shinmu's black dragon body, causing countless amounts of blood to spurt out. In the entire clan martial competition, there had never been a battle that was so cruel. In the spectator stands, many people's hearts were beating faster and their blood was boiling. Although this kind of hand-to-hand combat didn't require much skill, it was still soul-stirring. In the Shi clan mansion's spectator stands, Shi Yueying clenched her hands. She was somewhat worried, but she still believed that Kang Shinmu could win. This was because she knew that Kang Shinmu's devouring power could allow him to quickly recover. Now that Kang Shinmu had clearly entangled with Zhang Shijian, the next step was to see if Zhang Shijian could defeat Kang Shinmu in a short period of time. If he couldn't, then the final victor would definitely be Kang Shinmu. That guy is too stupid. If this goes on, I'm afraid he'll really die on the arena. It's too wasteful to give him a dragon-grade weapon. In the Jiang clan spectator stands, Jiang Fengqing snorted coldly once again. In the arena, Kang Shinmu's black dragon body was covered in wounds. Dragon blood constantly splattered out, dyeing the arena red. It looked extremely miserable. In such a situation, Kang Shinmu still persisted in fighting. It was admirable, but not only did Jiang Fengqing not support him, she even cursed him to die. Her intentions were extremely vicious. Jiang Rong looked at the situation on the arena and felt his heart clench. He hoped that Kang Shinmu would die on the arena. That way, there would be no future trouble. Moreover, such a death would have nothing to do with him, and the Shi clan mansion wouldn't pursue it. However, things didn't go as he wished. He clearly couldn't see the day Kang Shinmu died. In the arena, Kang Shinmu was constantly attacked by the dragon sword energy. His body was covered in wounds, but he avoided his vitals every time, lest he be killed by his opponent. In such a situation, the increasingly strong devouring power invaded his opponent's body, devouring his flesh and life essence faster and faster. The Shadow Dragon Tooth Transformation's dragon martial skill was constantly being used, clashing with his opponent's dragon sword energy. The terrifying power that erupted caused great damage to both sides. However, Kang Shinmu could rely on the devouring power to constantly recover. Go to hell. Zhang Shijian snorted coldly. His entire sword energy divine dragon body transformed into a sword light that soared into the sky. At this moment, he finally broke free from Kang Shinmu's entanglement. Then, the divine dragon body transformed into a giant sword. It descended from the sky, piercing through the air. This is the feeling. Break through for me. Jiang Shenwu roared in his heart. The surface of his divine dragon body was almost completely enveloped by the devouring force. The heavenly saint halberd turned into countless rays of golden light that shot up into the sky, clashing with that gigantic dragon sword chi. The divine martial arts realm. At this moment, Jiang Shenwu finally found the opportunity to break through. The aura of the entire pitch-black divine dragon body suddenly skyrocketed, and the devouring power actually turned into countless shadow dragon fangs, sweeping up like raindrops. The sword energy fell. The dragon teeth met it. Chapter 39-44. The sword chi and the dragon tooth clashed in midair. In an instant, a terrifying explosion rang out in the arena. The innate abilities of both sides exploded in an instant, filling the entire arena and blocking everyone's line of sight. The pitch-black devouring power condensed into the shadow dragon tooth completely shattered the opponent's sword chi and dispersed it. Then, it landed on the body of the sword chi divine dragon, seriously injuring Zhang Shijin. After breaking through to the divine martial realm, Kang Shinmu's innate ability was strengthened. With the dragon-grade halberd of the heavenly saint, even in a head-on confrontation, he did not lose to Zhang Shijin. The golden light of the heavenly saint's halberd was wrapped up by the devouring power and turned into a part of the shadow dragon tooth's power, breaking through the opponent's hidden sword power. At this time, the third-grade dragon martial skill, shadow dragon tooth transformation, also broke through at the same time, stepping into the earth level, and its power increased exponentially. In addition, just now, Zhang Shijin was continuously devoured by Kang Shinmu, so he was unable to display his full strength for a while. It was not surprising that this move was broken by Kang Shinmu. On the other hand, Kang Shinmu had just broken through his strongest attack. As time went by, Zhang Shijin was defeated. Moreover, the shadow dragon tooth transformation broke through his divine dragon body, causing him to be heavily injured. His 1,000-foot-long divine dragon body fell to the ground of the martial arts arena with a loud bang. This sound seemed to smash the hearts of many dragon warriors in the spectator stands. Too shocking. Another breakthrough in battle. Sacred Dragon Xia Yan wanted to vomit blood. Previously, when he was fighting with Xia Tianhan, Kang Shinmu had made a breakthrough and reached the peak of the Dragon Ascension realm, reversing the situation and defeating Xia Tianhan. Now, in the most crucial battle of the clan martial competition, this kid had once again made a breakthrough and reached the divine martial realm, defeating Zhang Shijin in one fell swoop. Wasn't it said that Zhang Shijin had no opponents at the same level as him? Just now, even before Kang Shinmu broke through, he had already suppressed him. What was going on? Sacred Dragon Xia Yan was very displeased, because this way, the prestige of the Shi clan residence had skyrocketed, and it had already completely overshadowed the Xia clan residence. Just by looking at how many people in the arena were looking at Kang Shinmu and the Shi clan residents with envious expressions, one could tell how much of an impact Kang Shinmu's victory over Zhang Shijin had. 5 consecutive victories in the clan martial competition. This kind of battle record, compared to everyone's initial guess of Kang Shinmu, was simply too good. Entering the semi-finals of the clan martial competition was absolute, and according to this situation, it was not impossible for Kang Shinmu to make it all the way to the finals. Because Kang Shinmu had already created 2 miracles. Yesterday, he had defeated Meng Tianqing. Today, he had even defeated Zhang Shijin. It could be seen that Kang Shinmu's strength had far exceeded everyone's expectations. Even the people from the Shi clan's residence had not expected him to be so powerful. Kang Shinmu returned to his human form and landed on the martial arena. The sword chi divine dragon had already fainted. Too much of its flesh and blood essence had been devoured, and it had suffered serious injuries. Its dragon blood was constantly flowing out, causing it to faint. Very quickly, the Zhang clan's dragon warriors came up to the martial arena and sent Zhang Shijin away. These Zhang clan's dragon warriors all took a deep look at Kang Shinmu, then left the arena with hatred. Zhang Shijian was one of the stronger youths in their Zhang clan, and his future growth potential was very high. If he had awakened a year earlier, he might have been able to get first place in the clan martial competition. Now, Zhang Shijian, who had high hopes placed on him, was actually defeated by a mere Kang Shinmu. This was simply too inconceivable. However, even if he lost one match, Zhang Shijian would still be able to enter the semi-finals. If he met Kang Shinmu again in the semi-finals, what would the situation be like? For the clan martial competition, Dragon King Qiu had prepared many healing elixirs. For an injury like Zhang Shijian's, he would be able to recover in a single night. Therefore, in the semi-finals, Kang Shinmu and Zhang Shijian still had a chance of meeting again. A total of 100 people would enter the semi-finals, and then 20 would be chosen to enter the finals. Finally, the 17 clans would be ranked according to their rankings. After today, the preliminaries would end, and tomorrow, the semi-finals would begin. To be able to enter the semi-finals, one had to win at least 3 rounds of battle. Therefore, as long as one won 4 rounds, they would be able to enter the semi-finals. As for those who won 3 rounds, it would be up to the referees of the clan martial competition to choose the stronger ones to enter the semi-finals. Generally speaking, in a situation where the number of victories was the same, the dragon warrior who had awakened for a shorter period of time and had a higher martial realm would be chosen to advance. This was to ensure fairness. In the spectator stands, Kang Shinmu returned to the Jiang clan camp. Whether it was Jiang Rong, Jiang Fengqing or the others, their faces were ashen. They had originally thought that Kang Shinmu would die on the stage, but in the end, Zhang Shijian would be seriously injured and unconscious. Such an outcome was hard for them to accept, but it was an undeniable fact. Now, Jiang Fengqing did not dare to say another word. Because she understood that Kang Shinmu, who had entered the semi-finals, had completely surpassed her. In the eyes of the Dragon Prison City's divine dragon experts, Kang Shinmu's importance had surpassed the entire Jiang clan. If she were to be disrespectful to Kang Shinmu, she would probably be in trouble in the future. The Jiang clan side was silent. Instead, Jiang Liuxue, who had never spoken before, came to Kang Shinmu's side. Her eyes flashed with interest. Kang Shinmu, congratulations. If we meet in the semi-finals, I would like to know, between you and me, who is stronger. If we meet, there will be an answer. Kang Shinmu nodded lightly. From the beginning, he had never had any conflict with Jiang Liuxue. She only desired strength, and did not care about anything else. Even at the beginning, when he and Jiang Yuaning took away her right to cultivate the grade 4 dragon martial technique, she did not do anything to Kang Shinmu, because she admitted that she had lost. Now, seeing Kang Shinmu win 5 consecutive rounds, and even defeat Meng Tianqing and Zhang Shijian, her curiosity had reached its peak. She wanted to know, how did Kang Shinmu possess such powerful battle strength? Could it be that it was like the rumors, like father like son? Was it because of Jiang Zizai's bloodline? Jiang Liuxue wanted to personally fight with Kang Shinmu and see what was going on. Without a doubt, she wanted to defeat Kang Shinmu, to prove that she would not lose to Kang Shinmu, to that man's son. As for Jiang Liuxue, Kang Shinmu did not take her to heart. After all, Jiang Liuxue's strength was inferior to Zhang Shijian's, and it was impossible for her to be Kang Shinmu's match. When he broke through to the first tier of the divine martial realm, his cultivation level was the same as Jiang Liuxue's. Chapter 39-45. Kang Shinmu continued to observe the situation of the battle. Today was the last day of the preliminary round of the clan martial competition. The battle between him and Zhang Shijian just now was the first match, and there were still many battles to be carried out. After 4 days of observation, Kang Shinmu had a rough understanding of the strength of the majority of the genius dragon warriors participating in the clan martial competition. However, there were a few who were especially strong, but they still hadn't displayed the slightest bit of their true fighting strength. For example, the strongest genius of the Meng clan, Meng Chou, was now an inheritor of the heavenly dragon blood essence at the 4th level of the divine martial realm. Even though Kang Xinmu had reached the 1st level of the divine martial realm, it was still extremely difficult for him to defeat Meng Chou. It was even close to impossible. If he were to fight with Meng Chou now, the possibility of Kang Xinmu losing was very high. Fortunately, Kang Xinmu had been constantly devouring his opponent's innate ability for the past 5 days, so he had a certain resistance to some innate ability. Meng Chou's innate ability was the power of a huge rock. There was also the strongest genius dragon warrior of the Zhang clan, Zhang Feng, whose innate ability was the power of the spiritual fire. Its destructive power was extremely terrifying. As long as I can devour the power of a huge rock in the semi-finals, I will be able to fight against these two guys. There are also some other inheritors of the heavenly dragon blood essence at the 3rd level of the divine martial realm. They can't be ignored. Kang Xinmu swept his gaze over the situation in the arena and began to think of a plan in his heart. He had already come this far and won all 5 days. He didn't want to give up halfway. His father, Jiang Zizai, was able to win 1st place in the clan martial competition and sweep away all the dragon warriors. Then, he must do the same. Otherwise, how could he find the missing Jiang Zizai? With his current strength, it was impossible for him to go to a place where even Jiang Zizai had disappeared, let alone find Jiang Zizai. Therefore, he had to be stronger than the previous Jiang Zizai. Then, let's start with this clan martial competition. With the goal of 1st place in the clan martial competition, I will always be able to think of a way. He had already memorized all the opponents he might encounter. Then, on the last day, before all the battles had ended, he left the arena and went to another place in the city, the Life and Death Arena. The Life and Death Arena was a place in Dragon Prison City where dragon martial artists could fight against demonic beasts. This was a cruel place, but at the same time, it allowed dragon warriors to obtain the greatest amount of tempering. This was because each of the demon beasts imprisoned in the Life and Death Arena had experienced many life and death battles. They all had their own ways of dealing with dragon warriors. It was extremely difficult to kill these demonic beasts. There were even dragon warriors who often died in the Life and Death Arena, becoming food for those demonic beasts. Therefore, normally, only those dragon martial artists who were extremely short of money would come to the Life and Death Arena to provide entertainment and fight with these demonic beasts. Now, Kang Xinmu's goal was to find a battle in the Life and Death Arena. The semi-finals are about to begin. The Life and Death Arena is about to begin. Kang Xinmu was very clear about his current weakness. Compared to Meng Chou, Zhang Feng and the other genius dragon warriors, he only lacked time. However, with the existence of the devouring power, he could use other methods to make up for the lack of time. That was to devour the power of the demonic beasts and increase his resistance to certain powers. Right now, Kang Xinmu did not have the time to go out of the dragon prison city. Therefore, he could only target the demonic beasts in the Life and Death Arena. Obviously, there was another advantage in the Life and Death Arena, and that was that he could choose any demonic beasts as his opponent. If he wanted to deal with Meng Chou, he had to choose a demonic beast that possessed the power of a giant rock and devour the power of a giant rock in its body to increase his resistance to the power of a giant rock. If he was going to fight with Zhang Feng, he would choose a demonic beast that possessed the power of fire and devour the power of fire to increase his resistance to the power of fire. There was also a series of other innate abilities. Kang Xinmu was able to find the corresponding demonic beast in the Life and Death Arena and devour its power, turning it into his own resistance to the power of the demonic beast. Without a doubt, this way, Kang Xinmu would be able to obtain the power to defeat those genius experts. After all, his opponent had awakened 2 years earlier than him. 2 more years of cultivation time brought about a gap that was almost impossible to make up for. If he did not possess the devouring power, he would have long given up on the goal of becoming the number 1 in the clan martial competition. But now, he was still able to give it a try. Although it was only a temporary and targeted increase in strength, after obtaining first place in the clan martial competition, he would be able to obtain more cultivation resources. He would be able to cultivate at a faster speed and achieve his goal of finding his father, Jiang Zizai. Kang Xinmu came to the life and death arena alone. Jiang Yuaning and Shi Yueying, who were more concerned about him, quietly followed behind him and met outside the life and death arena. Miss Shi, you also followed him here? I wonder what he came to the life and death arena for. Could it be that he is looking for an opportunity to make a breakthrough? Jiang Yuaning's face was filled with worry. Shi Yueying's expression was somewhat ice-cold, but she was still slightly warmer towards Jiang Yuaning. I don't know about him, but no matter what he wants to do, I will support him. Let's go in together. The two girls followed Kang Xinmu and stepped into the life and death arena. Without a doubt, the two girls directly paid the money and went to the spectator stands of the life and death arena. Here, there were many high-ranking officials and nobles eating, drinking, and playing, watching the bloody and cruel battle in the life and death arena. Among these people, there were many who were not even dragon warriors and had yet to awaken. They were born in some dragon warrior families, so even if they did not want to make progress, they would still be carefree for the rest of their lives. The life and death arena was one of the more expensive places. Because here, they could see bloody battles that they normally could not see. For ordinary warriors who were unable to awaken, the battle between the dragon warriors and the demon beasts was extremely exciting. It could awaken the bloodthirsty seed in the depths of their hearts and make them go crazy. Seeing the two delicate girls, Shi Yueying and Jiang Yuaning, arrive at the VIP seats, many men dressed in expensive clothes turned their gazes over and whispered to each other, as if they were discussing who they were. These two girls are really beautiful, especially that ice-cold one. I really want to bring her home. Shoo! Are you courting death? Bastard, that's the young miss of the Shi family. If you want to die, don't drag me down with you. So it's the young miss of the Shi family. But what is she doing here? She is a dragon warrior. It doesn't seem like she can find any fun in the life and death arena, right? Furthermore, the clan martial competition is currently in progress. It's said that her lover is participating in the clan martial competition. How could she have the leisure to come to the life and death arena? Many people were puzzled. They recognized Shi Yueying's identity, so they naturally did not dare to act recklessly. However, they were very curious. What was Shi Yueying doing in the life and death arena? Soon, they knew. Chapter 3946. Kang Xinmu set foot in the arena of life and death. He came to the arena to devour a specific power, so he chose a giant rock bear from the very beginning. This was a powerful demonic beast with a relatively pure bloodline and a very powerful ancient bloodline. Its strength was equivalent to that of a dragon warrior who had inherited the sky dragon blood essence. It had a cultivation of the second tier of the heavenly demon realm, which was equivalent to the second tier of the divine martial realm. Heavenly demons have talents, just like the golden dragon lion from before. It used its talent to defeat Xia Tianhan and Zhang Xianjian. Kang Xinmu was very cautious. Even though he had defeated Zhang Shijin, he did not take the giant rock bear lightly. He knew very well that the giant rock bear's fighting strength was probably much higher than Zhang Shijin's, because this demonic beast had won 13 battles in a row in the arena of life and death. According to the rules of the arena of life and death, the inheritors of the sky dragon blood essence could not surpass the second tier of the divine martial realm, and the inheritors of the true dragon blood essence could not surpass the third tier of the divine martial realm. Therefore, there had been 13 dragon warriors who had failed and died in the giant rock bear's hands, becoming its food. Now, as the inheritor of the sky dragon blood essence who had reached the first tier of the divine martial realm, Kang Xinmu had come to challenge the giant rock bear, which immediately attracted the attention of the arena of life and death. Before leading Kang Xinmu to choose his opponent, the steward of the arena of life and death had told Kang Xinmu that he was worried that something would happen to him in the arena of life and death. After all, he was a young man favored by the sacred dragon of the Shi clan. If he died in the arena of life and death, it would not be good for their business in the future. However, Kang Xinmu repeatedly promised that he would not die and told the steward of the fact that he had defeated Zhang Shijin today. If I win, I will get 1 million dragon coins and half of the guests' tips. If I lose, I will lose my life, right? Kang Xinmu confirmed the rules and then chose the giant rock bear as his opponent. He was first led by the steward of the arena of life and death to the fighting ring in the middle of the arena of life and death. This was a giant cage surrounded by a sturdy cage. Its purpose was to prevent the battle in the arena from injuring the dignitaries in the spectator stands. Kang Xinmu was brought into this huge cage, just like an animal for people to admire. Today, the one who came to the life and death arena is the future son-in-law of the Shi family, brother Kang Xinmu. His current cultivation is at the first level of the God martial arts realm, and his opponent is the bolder violent bear who has won 13 battles in a row, Brother Two. This violent rock bear was called Brother Tuesday. In the life and death arena, every demonic beast had a similar code name. This was because such a code name could arouse the emotions of the audience and make them crazily throw money at it. When the manager of the life and death arena introduced Kang Xinmu and his opponent, the gigantic rock bear, the thousands of people in the spectator stand started shouting wildly. Today's battle was just too exciting. It was actually the rumored son-in-law of the Shi clan, Kang Xinmu. Recently, the news of the Shi clan's prospective son-in-law had already spread throughout the entire dragon prison city. Even ordinary warriors who had not awakened to become dragon warriors knew of Kang Xinmu's name. They also knew that Kang Xinmu had defeated the Xia clan's Xia Tianhan in a duel. Moreover, the recent clan martial competition was in full swing. Yesterday, the news of Kang Xinmu defeating Meng Tianqing had just spread, causing everyone to be extremely amazed. However, the scale of the clan martial competition was still too small for the entire dragon prison city. The news did not spread that fast. Most of the people in the city did not know that Jiang Shenwu had defeated Zhang Shijin today. Therefore, they had some estimates of Kang Xinmu's strength. Wasn't he just the inheritor of the heavenly dragon blood essence at the first level of the divine martial realm? But it's strange. This kid is about to become the son-in-law of the Shi clan. Why would he come to the life and death arena to court death because of a lack of money? He might not necessarily be courting death. It's said that this kid often creates miracles. He might even be able to kill that bolder violent bear today. You think Brother Two will lose to him? Lose to a kid who is only at the first level of the divine martial realm? Don't joke around, that's impossible. That's right, this young master knows Brother Two's strength. No matter how strong this Kang Xinmu is, he won't be a match for Brother Tuesday, everyone was discussing animatedly. The majority of them did not believe that Kang Xinmu would be a match for the bolder violent bear, Brother Two. The introduction of Kang Xinmu as the son-in-law of the dragon prison city caused Shi Yueying, who was in the spectator stands, to blush slightly. She had never thought that this matter would spread so quickly, and that the entire city would already know about it. But in reality, this matter was completely false. Holy Dragon Shi Tao had such a plan, but he wasn't sure. As for Jiang Shenwu and Shi Yueying, they didn't take this matter to heart. Many a time, such things happen naturally, and there was no need to be so conflicted. Obviously, the life and death arena had used this matter as the explosive point of this battle. This news would obviously arouse the enthusiasm of the spectators, making them throw money, and throw money again. It's actually a bolder violent bear. Can Kang Xinmu defeat it? A bolder violent bear at the second level of the Sky Demon Realm has already killed 13 powerful dragon warriors. Its strength is probably even more terrifying than Zhang Shijin. Jiang Yuaning could not help but feel worried. Don't worry, since he chose the bolder violent bear as his opponent, he will definitely be able to defeat it. Shi Yueying was more confident in Jiang Shenwu, but in fact, she was also a little perturbed in her heart. It was difficult for her to remain calm. After all, this was the life and death arena. Every year, countless dragon martial artists died in the life and death arena. Even Shi Yueying herself did not believe that Kang Shinmu could defeat the Boulder Violent Bear. But from the Boulder Violent Bear, she seemed to be able to see Kang Shinmu's goal, and that was to use the devouring power to deal with the Meng clan's strongest, Meng Chou. Whatever power Kang Shinmu devours, he seems to be more familiar with that power and has a stronger resistance to it. However, he actually set his sights on Meng Chou. This is the genius dragon warrior who is very likely to obtain first place in this year's clan martial competition. Shi Yueying was shocked. She never thought that Kang Shinmu would actually have such a high goal. He wanted to obtain first place in this year's clan martial competition. Otherwise, he wouldn't have chosen the Boulder Violent Bear as his opponent. Right now, the preliminary round of the 5th day of the clan martial competition was still continuing, but Kang Shinmu was already preparing for the semi-finals and finals. It could be seen that Kang Shinmu was very ambitious. However, the only one who vaguely knew that Kang Shinmu was able to devour his opponent's power and increase his resistance to it was Shi Yueying. Chapter 39-47. You're only at the first level of the divine martial realm, yet you want to take first place in the clan martial competition. Kang Shinmu. You really surprised me. Shi Yueying's eyes were filled with splendor. Every time she thought that she had seen through Kang Shinmu, she found that Kang Shinmu would soon display a side that she could not imagine. Now, in the life and death arena, many of the high officials and nobles thought that Kang Shinmu was looking for trouble and wanted to train his strength. Therefore, he chose the second level of the Sky Demon Realm as his opponent. They all thought that he would die. However, no one would have thought that Kang Shinmu's target was actually Meng Chou, who was at the 4th level of the Divine Martial Realm, the strongest genius of the clan martial competition. In the midst of the hubbub of voices, Kang Shinmu concentrated on watching the giant rock bear being released. From a passageway, it violently came to the life and death arena. Soon, both sides were in a cage. It was a huge brown bear demon beast that was 20 zhang tall. In front of humans, it was like a small mountain. When it appeared in front of Kang Shinmu, it completely covered the light of the setting sun in front of him. Roar! The giant rock bear, Tu Gu, roared and directly pounced towards the place where Kang Shinmu was. It did not put this tiny human in its eyes at all. Hua! Seeing this, everyone in the spectator stand was shocked. This violent boulder bear was so ferocious. It couldn't have killed that kid in an instant, right? However, this worry was completely unnecessary. Just as the giant rock bear pounced towards Kang Shinmu instantly transformed into a dragon. 100 zhang long black dragon suddenly appeared in the arena. After a dragon roar, he roared and rushed towards the giant rock bear. The giant rock bear's fighting style was close combat. Even if it was 20 zhang tall, it would not be at a disadvantage when fighting against a 100 zhang long dragon martial artist. With a sudden leap of his feet, his mountain-like body leaped up as fast as the wind. In an instant, he grabbed Kang Shinmu's dragon tail with both hands and pulled with his brown bear paws. The terrifying force almost tore Kang Shinmu's dragon tail apart, but the purple magic crystal covered his dragon tail, forcibly resisting the other party's tremendous tearing force. Phantom Dragon Tooth Transformation. Kang Shinmu turned around and unleashed his devouring power. Countless shadow dragon teeth rained down on the violent boulder bear's body. However, this dragon martial skill didn't cause any damage to the violent boulder bear. The opponent's defense was actually this terrifying. Kang Shinmu was a little surprised, but he didn't panic. The heavenly sage halberd's golden light appeared on his black dragon body, and he abruptly brought the violent rock bear up into the sky. The violent boulder bear's huge body was suspended in midair. Suddenly, it roared angrily, and the power of giant rocks finally burst out. From its body, huge rocks continuously condensed and smashed towards Kang Shinmu's body. Each of these rocks was like a small mountain. After the huge force smashed down, Kang Shinmu would be closer to the ground. It was impossible for him to fly higher. Soon, Kang Shinmu's black dragon body was smashed to the ground. Two huge creatures fell with a loud bang, almost causing the entire life and death arena to shake. Good. Good. The thousands of guests in the spectator stand immediately became excited when they saw this. Although they hadn't awakened as dragon martial artists, they could still see some clues about the battle between dragon martial artists and demonic beasts. The current situation was very obvious that both sides were evenly matched. This was the kind of battle they loved to watch the most. If it was a one-sided battle, it would be too boring and not worth watching. I didn't expect the prospective son-in-law of the Shi clan to have some skills. To be able to withstand Brother Two's attack, this divine dragon's body is much tougher than some of the dragon martial artists from before. That's right, there are some purple magic crystals covering the surface of his divine dragon body. It seems to be some kind of body refining dragon martial skill. There aren't many people who cultivate this kind of dragon martial skill. That's right. In the past, the dragon martial artists who fought against Brother Two all used their defensive dragon martial skills to block his attacks. In the end, their defense couldn't withstand it, causing their divine dragon body to be torn into two and die an extremely miserable death. From the looks of it, this kid still has a chance of winning. Many of the spectators were discussing. Even though the battle was extremely intense, it was just a spectator's battle to them. It didn't matter who won or lost. But now, there were already people in the spectator stands who had set up a bet. Come on, place your bets. Those who bet on Brother Two's victory, 3-1, and those who bet on Kang Shinmu's victory, 1-3. Many people went up to participate in the bet. Judging from the odds, they probably thought that the probability of Kang Shinmu winning was only 1/3. That was normal. Although Kang Shinmu's reputation as the prospective son-in-law of the Shi clan was very frightening, Brother Two was a frequent guest in the life and death arena. It was not an exaggeration to call him a star, and he had many loyal fans. Many spectators were very optimistic about this giant rock bear, thinking that it would not lose to a kid who was only at the first level of the divine martial realm. Humph, they are looking down on me. I have 50,000 dragon coins on me. I bet all of them on Kang Shinmu winning. Jiang Yuaning snorted coldly. She couldn't stand the behavior of this group of people, so she directly threw out 50,000 dragon coins. This was almost all of her assets, which she had saved up until now. It could be seen that she trusted Kang Shinmu very much. Most importantly, she didn't want to see Kang Shinmu lose, so she bet on Kang Shinmu winning, hoping that Kang Shinmu could survive this battle. Shi Yueying thought about it and also bet 100,000 dragon coins on Kang Shinmu winning. Born in the Shi clan, she certainly had more assets than Jiang Yuaning, but not by much. She could only take out 100,000 dragon coins. The two of them had 150,000 dragon coins in total. If Kang Shinmu died in the hands of the giant rock bear, then there would be no money left. But if Kang Shinmu could win, they could get 450,000 dragon coins, which was a net profit of 300,000 dragon coins. The odds could be said to be a big profit. If it weren't for the fact that Shi Yueying only had 100,000 dragon coins on her, she would definitely bet more on Kang Shinmu winning. But no matter what, the 150,000 dragon coins almost didn't have much impact on the betting pool. After all the people present were rich. Even if they weren't dragon warriors, they could still get a lot of dragon coins by running a chamber of commerce and doing business. Soon, the betting pool expanded to the scale of tens of millions of dragon coins. Some dignitaries had already begun to throw money into the life and death arena. These dragon coins all fell outside the arena. After the battle, they would be collected by the life and death arena, and half of them would be given to the dragon warrior who won. Chapter 39-48. Dragon Prison City, Life and Death Arena. Thousands of dignitaries in the spectator stands were extremely excited as they watched the fierce battle between the Black Heavenly Dragon and the Boulder Grizzly Bear. Their faces were flushed with excitement. In the arena, Kang Shinmu was in a state of intense battle. The Boulder Grizzly Bear was very strong. The power of the boulders in its body burst out and condensed into sharp boulders, which swept towards Kang Shinmu's black dragon body. Fortunately, the demonic crystal body refining dragon martial technique constantly condensed purple demonic crystals on the surface of Kang Shinmu's dragon body, which had a strong defense. Especially after Kang Shinmu stepped into the divine martial realm, his strength in all aspects had doubled, and he could not be mentioned in the same breath as before. Shadow Dragon Fang Transformation. Kang Shinmu constantly activated this grade 3 dragon martial technique. Countless shadow dragon fangs fell on the Boulder Grizzly Bear's body, but they could not cause any damage. Not only was the Boulder Grizzly Bear's skin thick, but it also condensed a layer of boulder defensive barrier on the surface of its body. This barrier was extremely thick. In the past, when the 13 dragon martial artists challenged the Boulder Grizzly Bear, it was because this barrier was too strong that they could not kill the Boulder Grizzly Bear. In the end, they died in the life and death arena. However, Kang Shinmu discovered that he had another way to deal with this layer of boulder defensive barrier. The devouring power rolled over and formed a layer of pitch-black power that covered the Boulder Grizzly Bear's body. It began to devour the boulder power that covered the Boulder Grizzly Bear's body. Although the devouring speed was not fast, Kang Shinmu could feel that the boulder power that was transmitted back to his body by the devouring power was converted into his own strength and made his resistance against the boulder power stronger. The Boulder Grizzly Bear's forte is defense. As long as it is not killed, it can eventually tear its opponent to pieces. But my advantage is also in defense. Kang Shinmu now discovered that the sharp rocks formed by the Boulder Grizzly Bear's boulder power could not kill him at all. Even at its strongest, it could only destroy the purple demonic crystal on the surface of his divine dragon body, but it could not harm his divine dragon body. Furthermore, he still had the Sky Sage halberd that he hadn't used yet. In the next moment, the golden heavenly saint halberd suddenly bloomed with light, condensing into a long golden halberd. Accompanied by the shadow dragon teeth that rained down on the Boulder Grizzly Bear's body. Both sides fought in close combat on the arena. Finally, blood splattered from both sides. When Kang Shinmu attacked, his opponent finally found an opportunity. Many wounds appeared on the body of the Black Divine Dragon, but more importantly, the giant rock bear's defense was finally broken by Kang Shinmu's attack. Kang Shinmu's devouring power swallowed a part of the boulder force defensive barrier covering his body, and then the Heavenly Saint Halberd and Shadow Dragon Tooth transformation attacked together, finally leaving several wounds on his opponent's body. Even though it was only a small cut, it was enough for Kang Shinmu. The devouring power quickly condensed and surged into the Boulder Grizzly Bear's body, beginning to devour the boulder force in its body. The tough skin of the Boulder Grizzly Bear was broken, and the devouring power swept into its body, like a fish swimming in water, surging into the depths of its opponent's body at the fastest speed. But at this time, the Boulder Grizzly Bear suddenly roared, finally using the talent of a sky demon. On the surface of the Boulder Grizzly Bear's body, a layer of boulder force defensive barrier appeared again, covering the wounds that were just made. Then, the injuries it suffered were constantly being replenished by the boulder force. It turns out to be a fast recovery method. Kang Shinmu's heart skipped a beat. In the spectator stands, near the gambling house, some people were dejected. These people had bet on Kang Shinmu to win. When they saw that the Boulder Grizzly Bear was injured, they had a good hunch. They thought that Kang Shinmu would take advantage of the situation to chase and kill the Boulder Grizzly Bear. They did not expect that the Boulder Grizzly Bear would use its talent to heal all its injuries, and the defensive barrier would appear again. At this time, most of the dignitaries in the spectator stands felt that Kang Shinmu would not be able to defeat this Boulder Grizzly Bear. The Boulder Grizzly Bear's defense was too powerful. It was almost impossible for a dragon martial artist of the same realm to kill it, especially when Kang Shinmu's cultivation was one realm lower than the boulder grizzly bear. He was only in the first realm of the god martial arts realm. If he was in the second realm of the god martial arts realm, many people would have thought highly of him. After all, he had a dragon-level dragon weapon, which could increase his combat power by a lot. Shi Yueying and Jiang Yuaning clenched their hands and looked nervously at the arena. They were very concerned about Kang Shinmu. When the boulder grizzly bear's injuries healed, they were almost scared out of their wits. If this boulder grizzly bear kept using this talent, wouldn't it be invincible? Unless he could kill this boulder grizzly bear in one go, it would be impossible to kill this sky demon second realm boulder grizzly bear. But no one knew that a part of Kang Shinmu's devouring power remained in the boulder grizzly bear's body and began to devour its flesh and life essence. Although Kang Shinmu could not connect with this part of the devouring power, causing the devouring speed to be somewhat slow, as long as he could continue, the boulder grizzly bear would soon lose all its strength and fall to the ground dead. Of course, Kang Shinmu had to ensure that the boulder grizzly bear could not kill him before that happened. Halberd of Heavenly Saint. Magic Crystal. A golden light shrouded Kang Shinmu's entire black dragon body. The halberd of Heavenly Saint turned into a defensive light that enveloped his entire body. At the same time, purple magic crystals constantly appeared on the surface of his body, blocking all the attacks from the boulder grizzly bear. With these two defenses used at the same time, the boulder grizzly bear could do nothing to Kang Shinmu. On the other hand, Kang Shinmu's devouring power was stirring up a storm in the boulder grizzly bear's body, constantly devouring its flesh and blood essence, causing its strength to become weaker and weaker. At the same time, Kang Shinmu's resistance to the boulder grizzly bear's power also became stronger and stronger. Gradually, Kang Shinmu only needed to rely on the magic crystals to resist the boulder grizzly bear's attacks. The boulder grizzly bear's strength was getting weaker and weaker. This was seen by the butler of the life and death arena, which made him a little surprised. This boulder grizzly bear's usual combat strength couldn't be so weak. If it continued to fight, it would not weaken for at least 2 hours. What was going on now? Why was its combat strength weakened for a short period of time? Could it be that when Kang Shinmu was injured, he did something else to the boulder grizzly bear? Of course, the butler did not know the characteristics and horror of the devouring power. Chapter 39-49. On the combat stage of the life and death arena, the violent rock bear was getting weaker and weaker. Gradually, it could not even launch a decent attack. Moreover, the huge rock barrier covering its body was getting weaker and weaker. Jiang Shenwu turned around, and the Heavenly Saint's halberd turned into countless golden halberds. Together with the shadow dragon Fang, all of them slammed down on the boulder grizzly bear. This time, the boulder grizzly bear's body was finally blasted open with a massive wound. Obviously, after the violent rock bear's flesh and blood essence was devoured, it no longer had the ability to resist Kang Shinmu's attack. At this moment, its defense was completely broken, and its body was drenched in blood. This scene was seen by many of the dignitaries in the spectator stands, and they were shocked for a moment. They originally thought that Kang Shinmu would be killed by the violent rock bear very soon. After all, he could not even break the violent rock bear's defense. But they did not expect that in the blink of an eye, Kang Shinmu would be able to seriously injure the violent rock bear. The most important point was that the violent boulder bear had suddenly become weak. Most of the nobles could see this, but they couldn't guess what was going on. This is too strange. Brother Tu was so fierce just now, why did he suddenly become so weak? I don't know. This Kang Shinmu's talent is rumored to be the power of devouring. Could it be that this kind of power can make a demon beast weak? Could it be that the life and death arena did this on purpose to let Kang Shinmu kill Brother Tu and then create a scene? The life and death arena is an old name in Dragon Prison City. It has a deep relationship with all the major residences. It is impossible for them to specially create a scene for the Shi clan residents. That's strange. Then, the problem can only be this kid's talent. Everyone was discussing. The dignitaries who were a little pessimistic at first were now a little excited. These people had bet on Kang Shinmu to win. They originally thought that their money would be wasted, but they did not expect that Kang Shinmu would be able to turn defeat into victory. The odds of 3 times meant that if they won the bet, they would be able to obtain extremely generous returns. In particular, some rich businessmen had actually bet millions on Kang Shinmu's victory. Now that they could win tens of millions of yuan, they were beaming with joy. In comparison, there were even more people who had bet on Kang Shinmu losing to the bolder Violent Bear. At this time, some of them were crying. In the entire life and death arena, a total of tens of millions of yuan had been lost to the dignitaries who had bet on Kang Shinmu's victory. Jiang Yuaning and Shi Yueying also smiled at this moment. The 2 girls weren't doing this for the hundreds of thousands of dragon coins they had bet on. Instead, they were relieved to see that Kang Shinmu had finally won. As long as Kang Shinmu wasn't in any danger, it would be great. Moreover, Shi Yueying had seen some clues in this round. Kang Shinmu definitely didn't come to the life and death arena just to practice. He had a deeper purpose. In the life and death arena, Kang Shinmu, who had transformed into a black dragon, had entangled the bolder Violent Bear. The pitch-black devouring power had completely enveloped the bolder Violent Bear, making it unable to move. Soon, Kang Shinmu had devoured more than half of the bolder Violent Bear's bolder Violent Bear, which had improved his resistance to the bolder Violent Bear to a terrifying degree. However, at this level, it was still not enough for Kang Shinmu to fight Meng Chou of the Meng family alone. Meng Chou was an inheritor of the heavenly dragon essence blood at the 4th level of the god martial arts realm. If he wanted to defeat him, he had to devour more bolder Violent Bear's bolder Violent Bear to be able to resist his attacks and find an opportunity during his attacks. Otherwise, based on Kang Shinmu's current defensive ability, he might not be able to resist 2 moves from his opponent and would die in the martial arts arena. I have to continue devouring the bolder Violent Bear, Kang Shinmu thought to himself. However, there was no other bolder Violent Bear in the life and death arena, and there were no other demonic beasts with bolder Violent Bear's bolder Violent Bear. He could only take a step back and devour other bolder Violent Bear's bolder Violent Bear. The pitch-black devouring power completely dissipated on the spot. Everyone saw that the bolder Violent Bear called Brother 2 had died in the life and death arena. Kang Shinmu was in high spirits as he stepped on the bolder Violent Bear's head. Kang Shinmu wins. The administrator of the life and death arena immediately announced. At the same time, his tone was filled with disbelief and surprise. Obviously, even he did not expect that Kang Shinmu could really defeat the bolder Violent Bear. He had originally planned to offend the Shi clan, so it was impossible for him to save Kang Shinmu. After all, the life and death arena had its own rules. If he made an exception this time, no one would come to the life and death arena in the future. In any case, the life and death arena was very powerful. It was not something that a mere Shi clan residents could shake. Moreover, Kang Shinmu was only the sacred dragon Shi Tao's prospective son-in-law. He was not a true member of the Shi clan residents yet. Even if Kang Shinmu died here, the sacred dragon Shi Tao would not make a big fuss over him. Most importantly, challenging the rules of the life and death arena was to provoke the residences of all the high-ranking officials, nobles, and dragon martial artists in the entire dragon prison city. Even the Shi clan residents could not do such a thing. Jiang Shenwu did not have such great influence. Then, the life and death arena began to count the dragon coins that the guests had thrown around the life and death arena. They planned to give a portion of it to Kang Shinmu and pay him the 1 million dragon coins that they had agreed on beforehand. Then, in the spectator stands, the bet that someone had just opened also began to be settled. Jiang Yuaning directly received 150,000 dragon coins, earning a net profit of 100,000, while Shi Yueying received 300,000 dragon coins, earning 200,000. Even to Shi Yueying, this could be considered a very large sum of wealth. After all, normally, the Shi clan wouldn't give her too much pocket money. If she really needed to use something precious, the holy dragon Shi Tao would directly buy it for them. There was no need for her to buy it herself. Of course, compared to earning money, the two girls were more willing to see Kang Shinmu defeat the giant rock bear and survive the life and death arena. Their eyes were brimming with joy as they looked at Kang Shinmu, who was in the arena, as if he was an undefeatable war god of the dragon warrior. The devouring power is too powerful. Could it be that he really wants to defeat the strongest person in the clan martial competition, Meng Chou? Shi Yueying thought to himself. After receiving the 300,000 dragon coins, she watched as Kang Shinmu followed the steward of the life and death arena back into the life and death arena and left the arena. Will he continue to challenge? Many high-ranking officials and nobles had this question in their hearts. Generally speaking, once a dragon warrior succeeded in the life and death arena, most of them would not choose to continue challenging. After all, the danger was too high. If one succeeded in a challenge, they would be able to obtain a large sum of money. For a dragon warrior who lacked money, it would be able to solve their urgent needs. Chapter 3950. Soon, Kang Shinmu returned to the arena of life and death with the administrator. The administrator looked excited. I have good news for everyone. Brother Kang Shinmu plans to continue challenging a ferocious sky demon in our arena of life and death. This sky demon is definitely not weaker than the brother 2 from before. It might even be stronger. The officials and dignitaries were excited when they heard that. There were too few dragon warriors who challenged demonic beasts in the arena of life and death. Needless to say, it had been a few days since a dragon warrior successfully killed a ferocious demonic beast. Kang Shinmu had just made a start and everyone was already excited. Now, they heard that he was going to continue fighting. The news was shocking. However, Shi Yueying and Jiang Yuaning found it hard to understand Kang Shinmu's choice. No way. He's going to continue challenging? Looks like it. I wonder what he's up to. The two girls looked at each other. They never expected Kang Shinmu to make such a decision. Every battle in the arena of life and death would limit the challenger's cultivation level. Therefore, every battle was an extremely dangerous life and death battle. Furthermore, the administrator had already said that the second demonic beast was even stronger than the boulder raging bear. Everyone raised their heads in anticipation, wanting to know who Jiang Shenwu's opponent would be. Alright, I won't keep everyone in suspense. Brother Kang Shinmu's second sky demon opponent is a starry sky flame wolf. The administrator of the arena of life and death immediately announced the news. The moment the news came out, the entire arena was in an uproar. It was a starry sky flame wolf. This was the signature of the arena of life and death. It was a demonic beast leader at the third level of the sky demon. It was extremely ferocious and terrifying. It had the power of starry sky and flames. It had already cruelly killed 42 dragon warriors who challenged it. Just its cultivation level alone was much stronger than the boulder raging bear. Not to mention the fact that it had two powers. When it alternated in battle, it was enough to make one despair. If the boulder raging bear were to fight against the starry sky flame wolf, the one who would die would definitely be the boulder raging bear. And it would be even more miserable and ugly than when it was killed by Kang Shinmu in the arena of life and death. The attacks of the starry sky flame wolf were extremely ferocious, and its speed was extremely terrifying. In the past, a portion of the 42 dragon martial artists that had died in its hands had been killed by it at lightning speed. The entire battle did not last more than 10 breaths of time. Even those powerful dragon warriors who could temporarily block the attack of the starry sky flame wolf would not be able to withstand the successive bombardment of the two types of energy. In the end, they would die with grievances. This is an extremely aggressive sky fae. Furthermore, it's a tier 3 fae. It's very difficult for me. I martial clan but, and earth clan demand clan, and clan, and dragon, and demon, and Earth Demon, Shan, and Clan, and Clan, and Demon, and Kang Shinmu was very clear about his current strength, so the opponent he chose was in line with his expectations. Especially the strongest warrior of the Zong tribe, Zong Feng. He had the talent of the spiritual fire and had the strength to fight against Meng Chou. If Meng Chou was not careful, he might be defeated by Zong Feng. To Kang Shinmu, if he wanted to obtain first place in the entire clan martial competition, he could not ignore these two genius dragon warriors. Other than Meng Chou's giant rock power, Zong Feng's spiritual fire power also had to be paid attention to. In addition, there was also a genius dragon warrior from the Ji tribe called Ji Yuan. He controlled the power of the stars. To Kang Shinmu, he was a huge threat. Therefore, devouring the starry sky flame wolf's starry sky power was also useful to him. The opponent's flame power is unable to kill me in an instant. As long as I can block the opponent's starry sky power, it will be fine. Kang Shinmu pondered in his heart. He had already thought about the tactics he would use when he went on stage. When the starry sky flame wolf appeared, the spectator stands suddenly burst into a wave of applause. In the cage of the life and death arena, a fierce wolf shrouded in light blue flames appeared. Its body was more than 300 feet long. Compared to humans, it was definitely a huge monster. It was even bigger than many people's houses. Its fangs were even bigger than a person. In the life and death arena, the corpse of the giant rock violent bear had already been disposed of. Kang Shinmu stood in the life and death arena, staring coldly at the huge light blue fierce wolf. Place your bets, place your bets, place your bets, the odds are 1 to 5. In the spectator stands, the gambling started once again. However, the odds this time were a bit higher than before. Because it was obvious that the starry sky flame wolf's strength was even more terrifying than the giant rock violent bears, and Kang Shinmu only had the strength of the first level of the divine martial realm. Just now, it was already so difficult for him to deal with the giant rock violent bear. Now, it was very likely that he would be killed by the fierce starry sky flame wolf. Moreover, in the minds of many people, this was very likely. The high-ranking officials and dignitaries who had bet on Kang Shinmu defeating the giant rock violent bear and won a lot of dragon coins started to hesitate. Some of them changed their bets to the option that Kang Shinmu would die. Although if Kang Shinmu won, they could earn 500,000 dragon coins with 100,000 dragon coins, the possibility was so low that they didn't dare to take the risk. Although betting on the option that Kang Shinmu would die would only earn 1/5 of the dragon coins, it was still better than losing. I bet 150,000 dragon coins. I bet 300,000 dragon coins. Jiang Yuaning and Shi Yueying bet on the option that Kang Shinmu would win without hesitation. If Kang Shinmu won, they would earn 750,000 dragon coins and 1,500,000 dragon coins respectively. This amount of dragon coins was quite rare for Jiang Yuaning. Her entire family's annual consumption was only tens of thousands of dragon coins. Now, she could actually earn 750,000 dragon coins in one go. To her, this was probably the largest amount of dragon coins she had ever seen. Of course, if Kang Shinmu was defeated, she and Shi Yueying would lose all their dragon coins. They would have to return all the dragon coins that they had just won. However, to the two women, if Kang Shinmu died in the life and death arena, these dragon coins would be useless. They might as well use them to bet on Kang Shinmu and cheer him on. In the end, almost no one bet on Kang Shinmu winning, because the chances of him winning were too low. The starry sky flame wolf's fighting strength was too strong. It was a frequent visitor to the life and death arena. There was once an inheritor of the heavenly dragon essence blood at the 3rd tier of the divine martial arts realm, but he couldn't last more than half an hour against the starry sky flame wolf. He was completely torn to pieces. Chapter 3951. In the life and death arena, countless people were paying attention to Kang Shinmu. It was also at this time that many dragon warriors came over after hearing the news. For dragon martial artists, there was basically nothing good in a place like the life and death arena. Even if dragon martial artists occasionally came to watch the battles, it was only to gain some experience in fighting with demon beasts. It was impossible for them to come here for enjoyment. However, many dragon warriors had heard that Kang Shinmu had actually come to the life and death arena to challenge some very strong and ferocious demonic beasts. As a result, they all came to the life and death arena, preparing to see how Kang Shinmu's battle would turn out. To these dragon warriors, they were originally very concerned about Kang Shinmu's performance in the clan martial competition. Especially today, on the 5th day of the clan martial competition, Kang Shinmu had actually defeated Zhang Shijian, who was originally very popular. This caused them to be extremely shocked. Therefore, Kang Shinmu had already become a hot figure in the dragon prison city. At least, after the end of the preliminaries of the Tian clan martial competition, no one was more popular than him. These dragon warriors all came to the life and death arena. Originally, there were only 1,000 people in the spectator stands, but before the battle between Kang Shinmu and the Starry Sky Flame Wolf began, more and more people came to watch the battle. Very quickly, it reached 2,000, even 3,000, and the number of people was still increasing. This made the life and death arena overjoyed. With so many people coming to watch the battle, they had earned a lot of money just from the tickets alone. Today, Kang Shinmu had come to challenge the Sky Demon Beast, which was truly auspicious for the life and death arena, causing their business to flourish. As the number of people watching the battle increased, the scale of the bet also continued to expand. Now, the preliminaries of the clan martial competition had ended, and many people from the Jiang clan had come to the life and death arena. Among them was Jiang Fengqing, who had been ridiculing Kang Shinmu. Jiang Fengqing came to the life and death arena, and after understanding the situation, she directly bet 200,000 on the bet. However, unlike Shi Yueying and Jiang Yuaning, Jiang Fengqing bet that Kang Shinmu would lose. She didn't believe that Kang Shinmu could win. After all, the odds were 1-5. What else was there for her to consider? The possibility of Kang Shinmu defeating the Starry Sky Flame Wolf was simply too small. Even though Kang Shinmu had defeated Zhang Shijian was only a dragon warrior at the 2nd level of the divine martial realm. Compared to the Starry Sky Flame Wolf at the 3rd level of the Sky Demon realm, he was still quite lacking. If they really fought, Zhang Shijian was definitely not a match for the Starry Sky Flame Wolf. Therefore, the new dragon martial artists' audience basically didn't think that Kang Shinmu would win. Until a big shot arrived. Holy Dragon Shi Tao led a group of Shi clan elders and dragon warriors to the arena of life and death. After understanding the situation, he directly bet 10 million on Kang Shinmu's victory. This was a huge investment. For Holy Dragon Shi Tao, 10 million was not a big investment. However, betting on Kang Shinmu clearly showed his trust in Kang Shinmu. If Kang Shinmu dies at the hands of the Starry Sky Flame Wolf, what's the harm in throwing away this 10 million? Holy Dragon Shi Tao smiled faintly and sat down on the VIP seat. He saw Shi Yueying and Jiang Yuaning sitting together, but he didn't go to them because there was no need. Today's protagonist was Kang Shinmu. In the arena, Kang Shinmu's every move affected the hearts of thousands of important figures in Dragon Prison City. As Holy Dragon Shi Tao arrived, so did Holy Dragon Xia Yan. He directly threw 10 million on the bet that Kang Shinmu would lose. With a cold snort, he sat down not far from Holy Dragon Shi Tao. Clan Master, you threw away 10 million too casually. Sigh. When the Shi clan elders behind Holy Dragon Shi Tao saw this, they immediately became worried. 10 million dragon coins was nothing to Holy Dragon Shi Tao, but if it was given to the others in the Shi clan residence, it would still be a large sum that would make them jealous. What, you don't believe in this clan master's judgment? Holy Dragon Shi Tao's face turned stiff. He was very dissatisfied with the crowd's reaction. He didn't allow these people to object to the decision he made. Furthermore, he didn't think that Kang Shinmu would lose. If there was anyone present who had the most confidence in Kang Shinmu, it was undoubtedly Holy Dragon Shi Tao. Even Shi Yueying was filled with worry for Kang Shinmu's battle. She wasn't as calm as Holy Dragon Shi Tao. Soon, the genius dragon warriors from the Meng, Ji, and Zong clans who were participating in the clan martial competition arrived at the arena of life and death. Of course, there weren't many people who came. After all, they had to pay 10,000 tickets to enter the arena of life and death. It was enough to send a few representatives over. There was no need for all of them to come in. In any case, they weren't particularly optimistic about Kang Shinmu. They all guessed that Kang Shinmu would most likely die in the arena of life and death. Zhang Shijian, Meng Tianqing, and the others all placed their bets on the bet. They all placed hundreds of thousands of bets on the option of Kang Shinmu losing and being killed. Then, they stared coldly at Kang Shinmu in the arena. Even if they were to fight against that starry sky flame wolf, they would definitely die at its hands. There was no chance of winning. If they could defeat this starry sky flame wolf, they would at least be able to reach the top 10 of the clan martial competition. This was not in line with everyone's evaluation of Kang Shinmu. Even if Kang Shinmu defeated Meng Tianqing and Zhang Shijian, he was still a long way from the top 10 of the clan martial competition. He was at least one cultivation realm away. The audience arrived. Kang Shinmu never thought that there would actually be so many people coming to the arena of life and death to watch him challenge the Sky Demon. This undoubtedly made his plan to keep a low profile go up in smoke. However, no matter how many people were watching, it didn't affect him in the slightest. In any case, it was impossible for him to expose the fact that he could devour the divine dragon's blood essence to raise the grade of his blood essence in a normal battle. As for his other characteristics, even if they were to be slightly exposed, it wouldn't matter much. At most, it would allow others to make more preparations when facing him. Of course, these preparations were completely futile. As long as the divine dragon's blood essence could be raised through devouring, Kang Shinmu didn't care about the other characteristics being exposed. In the arena of life and death, the number of spectators increased, and the scale of the bet grew larger and larger. In this kind of situation, many people wanted to bet 1 or 2 times. To many people, if they could pick up money for free, it would be a waste not to earn it. But unfortunately, these people were destined to be disappointed. This was because, since Kang Shinmu had chosen the Starry Sky Flame Wolf as his opponent this time, he naturally had a plan in mind. Although he didn't have a good understanding of the Starry Sky Flame Wolf's specific strength, he was confident that he could kill his opponent. After comparing the strength of many opponents, he came to the conclusion that with the strength of this Starry Sky Flame Wolf, it was impossible for it to instantly kill him. Chapter 3952. The scale of the bet had even reached hundreds of millions of dragon coins. To Kang Shinmu, none of this mattered. No matter how the situation in the spectator stands developed, there was only one thing he needed to do, and that was to defeat the Starry Sky Flame Wolf. He had been prepared for a long time. However, in order to wait for more spectators to enter the life and death arena, the Starry Sky Flame Wolf wasn't in a hurry to release the Starry Sky Flame Wolf into the cage of the life and death arena. The raging Starry Sky's Flame Wolf's eyes flickered with a pale blue flame as it stared at Jiang Shenwu, who was in the cage of the life and death arena. An ominous glint appeared in its eyes, because it was very clear that Jiang Shenwu was its opponent this time. As long as it defeated this martial dragon brat, it would be able to return to the cage and continue to enjoy its delicious meal. Divine beasts had intelligence. However, now that it had been captured and brought to the arena of life and death, the only fate left for it was to fight and fight until it was killed by a certain dragon warrior. Before that, all it could do was to continuously kill and then enjoy the delicious meat. This was also the only thing it could enjoy right now. If it didn't eat well, its strength would weaken and it would lose most of its value to the life and death arena. In that case, it wouldn't be far from death. When the entire spectator stands of the life and death arena were filled with 4,000 to 5,000 people, the butler of the life and death arena shouted, under the watchful eyes of the public, the battle between Brother Kong Shinmu and the Starry Sky Flame Wolf will now begin. Under the crowd's watchful eyes, after the Starry Sky Flame Wolf was released, it instantly charged towards Kong Shinmu. Its speed was as fast as lightning and it shot towards Kong Shinmu like a light blue stream of light. Its speed was several times faster than the violent boulder bear just now. It was simply like a meteor falling from the sky. In an instant, it appeared in front of Kong Shinmu. In the next moment, the pitch-black body of the divine dragon suddenly appeared in the cage of the life and death arena. The surface of the pitch-black body of the divine dragon was covered in layers of purple demonic crystals. Then, it was buried in a fierce flame. Of course, the Starry Sky Flame Wolf didn't know that Kong Shinmu had a stronger resistance to the power of fire. It directly used the power of fire to envelop Kong Shinmu's entire divine dragon body. But in the next moment, the purple magical crystal on Jiang Shenwu's body suddenly became even more resplendent. There was even a hint of deep color in the purple light. In the next moment, of the purple demonic crystals on Kong Shinmu's body, there was of a deep color. Jiang Shenwu was shocked. He didn't expect that such a change would occur at this time, causing his overall defensive ability to rise to another level. After the magic crystal transformed into a dragon, the purple mana crystal on the surface of the divine dragon's body shone with a deep luster. All attacks that landed on the divine dragon's body seemed to be absorbed and disappeared without a trace. There seemed to be a deep universe in every demonic crystal that could absorb extremely strong power. The power of flames of the Starry Sky Flame Wolf was completely absorbed by Kong Shinmu's purple demonic crystals. In the end, when it couldn't take it anymore, the purple demonic crystals exploded and turned into pure energy that was devoured by Kong Shinmu's devouring power. This is a terrifying cycle. Kong Shinmu was even more surprised. After the purple demonic crystals absorbed enough energy and exploded, the pure energy was devoured and could be turned into purple demonic crystals again for defense. This made Kong Shinmu's defense even more impregnable. Unless the opponent's strength could crush him or kill him in one hit, he was completely immortal. Magical crystal, this body-refining dragon martial skill is indeed very suitable for me. Kong Shinmu thought to himself. Then, his entire body of divine dragon rushed out of the blazing flames. He was wearing a deep purple demonic crystal armor and looked like a deep cosmic troll. Countless shadow dragon fangs burst out and instantly pierced towards the Starry Sky Flame Wolf. The transformation of the demonic crystal happened in an instant. It didn't give the Starry Sky Flame Wolf any time to react. Kong Shinmu wrapped around the Starry Sky Flame Wolf, and then the shadow dragon fangs poured down. The Starry Sky Flame Wolf didn't expect that its power of flames attack didn't seem to have any effect on Kong Shinmu. It immediately roared angrily, and the flames on its body surged, mixed with the dazzling light of the starry sky, and shot towards Kong Shinmu's black dragon body. Star-marked blazing burst. Kong Shinmu didn't have any time to react. The center of his divine dragon body was instantly blasted by the opponent. Even the purple demonic crystals couldn't withstand the opponent's terrifying attack. The entire black dragon body was blasted into two by the power of the starry sky and the power of flames. Wow! Everyone in the spectator seats gasped when they saw this scene. Just now, Kong Shinmu rushed out from the power of flames. It could be seen that his defense was strong enough. But now, facing the concentrated attack of the Starry Sky Flame Wolf, the star-marked blazing burst actually blasted Kong Shinmu's divine dragon body into two. He's dead meat. For a moment, everyone in the spectator seats seemed to have seen the ending. Those who didn't think highly of Kong Shinmu initially heaved a sigh of relief. After all, they were really afraid that Kong Shinmu would kill the Starry Sky Flame Wolf like how he defeated the violent rock bear. As for those who bet on Jiang Shenwu's victory, each and every one of them was disappointed. They wanted to take advantage of the 1,000 5 odds to earn a good sum of money. They didn't expect Kang Shinmu to be so disappointing. His divine dragon body was blasted into 2 by the opponent. How could he defeat the starry sky flame wolf? Shi Yueying and Jiang Yuaning immediately became worried, and their eyes were filled with worry. Kang Shinmu's divine dragon body was blasted into 2, it must be very painful, right? They couldn't help but think like this. Even though they knew that Kang Shinmu's willpower was very strong, at this moment, they couldn't help but feel a little sorry for him. He's really overestimating himself. This kid is finally going to die in this life and death arena. Does he really think that he's invincible just because he's in the limelight in the clan martial competition? Jiang Fengqing and a few other fellows who looked down on Kang Shinmu all laughed coldly. Jiang Fengqing was still thinking about the 200,000 dragon coins she had lost when she bet on Kang Shinmu. If Kang Shinmu died in the life and death arena, then she would be able to win 40,000 dragon coins, which was a pretty good harvest. Since Kang Shinmu had successfully advanced, his points had already been counted as the Jiang clans. If Kang Shinmu died now, it wouldn't have much of an impact on the Jiang clan. Anyway, they didn't think that Kang Shinmu would be able to enter the top 20 or even top 10. On the Shi clan side, many elders sighed. They didn't dare to say anything in front of Holy Dragon Shi Tao now, but they all began to feel sorry for the 10 million dragon coins. They could have used it to do many things, but they ended up losing it to a bet in the arena of life and death. It was such a waste. In the arena, Kang Shinmu's black dragon body had been broken into 2. In the eyes of the crowd, he had completely lost the possibility of winning. Only Sacred Dragon Shi Tao had a hopeful look in his eyes. Your talent, how heaven-defying it is, should be shown now. Chapter 3953. In the cage of the life and death arena, Kang Shinmu's black dragon body was split into 2 by the star scar raging flames. Dragon blood splattered everywhere. This made everyone feel that Kang Shinmu would soon be killed by the starry sky flame wolf. But just when everyone was thinking about this, Kang Shinmu had already succeeded in corroding the starry sky flame wolf's body with his dragon fangs biting down on it, showing no signs of loosening. Kang Shinmu's dragon tail fell heavily on the ground, bringing with it a boundless amount of blood. But at this time, everyone realized that the wounds on Kang Shinmu's black dragon body were actually starting to heal. As the devouring power continued to devour the starry sky flame wolf's life force and flesh essence, Kang Shinmu's injuries actually started to heal at a speed visible to the naked eye. Moreover, the dragon tail actually started to regenerate. At this point, if Kang Shinmu still continued to hide, he might really die in the hands of the starry sky flame wolf. Therefore, there was no need to continue hiding the characteristic of devouring the opponent to recover one's own talent power. The heavenly Saint Halberd continuously landed on the starry sky flame wolf's body. Accompanied by the shadow of the dragon fangs, the starry sky flame wolf suffered a fierce attack. More and more wounds appeared as Kang Shinmu's devouring power corroded it. The starry sky flame wolf had just exploded the black dragon body into 2. Originally, it thought that victory was in its grasp. Just when it heaved a sigh of relief, it realized that Kang Shinmu had actually only released his strongest attack at this time, and some kind of strange power corroded its body. The starry sky flame wolf's defense wasn't weak, but under Kang Shinmu's concentrated attack, it couldn't withstand it. Bloody holes appeared on its body, and the devouring power corroded it. In the next moment, the situation started to turn. Star scar raging flames burst. The power of the starry sky and the power of the raging flames merged at almost the same time, blasting towards Kang Shinmu's divine dragon body. It was as if a star had exploded beside the black dragon. Terrifying flames spread across the entire area, and the light of the stars exploded. But this time, Kang Shinmu concentrated on the place where the star scar raging flames exploded and condensed a thick layer of purple magical crystals, forcibly resisting the opponent's attack. Now that the magic crystal dragon martial technique had been upgraded to the dragon grade, it was basically impossible for the starry sky flame wolf to kill Kang Shinmu. Just now, Kang Shinmu had forcefully taken the blow in order to injure his opponent. As a result, his dragon tail had been blown off, making people think that he was about to fail. Devour. The power of the starry sky and the power of raging flames were constantly being absorbed into Kang Shinmu's body. His resistance towards these two types of energies was constantly increasing. By now, the overall rhythm of the battle had already been grasped by Kang Shinmu. There was no possibility of the starry sky flame wolf turning defeat into victory. This was because the power of devouring could make the opponent weaker and weaker, allowing Kang Shinmu to recover quickly. His defense against the opponent's power would become stronger and stronger, causing the difference in strength between the two sides to shrink rapidly. Then, the opponent's strength would be surpassed by Kang Shinmu. This had always been Kang Shinmu's fighting style. Under the effects of the power of devouring, defeating the strong as the weak was nothing at all. This starry sky flame wolf hadn't noticed Kang Shinmu's plan at the beginning and was injured by Kang Shinmu. From then on, it fell into a passive and slow state of death. When the situation stabilized, everyone in the spectator stands was stunned. None of the dignitaries had expected that the tail of the black dragon that Kang Shinmu had transformed into could actually regenerate on the spot after it had been blown off. What kind of terrifying talent was this? Even the regenerative talent of some dragon martial artists wasn't this terrifying. This was also normal. One had to know that the regenerative talent was created from nothing. But Kang Shinmu's power of devouring, on the other hand, was to devour the opponent's life, flesh, and essence for his own use. In this way, he could recover his own injuries and energy that he had exhausted. Among the talents that Kang Shinmu knew, the power of devouring was definitely one of the strongest talents. How is this possible? What kind of talent is this? It can actually recover so quickly. The dragon's tail is the part that dragon martial artists use to maintain balance in flight. Once the dragon's tail is broken, it will be very difficult to maintain flight. This kid, on the other hand, has completely grabbed onto the starry sky flame wolf's body and engaged in a hand-to-hand fight with it. It seems like his talent has corroded into the starry sky flame wolf's body. When everyone was watching the battle, they finally started to think about what kind of power could make Kang Shinmu so unyielding. And as time passed, everyone realized that the starry sky flame wolf's attacks on Kang Shinmu were getting weaker and weaker. The second starstreak raging flame burst was no longer able to hurt Kang Shinmu, not to mention the weaker attacks after that. Very quickly, the starry sky flame wolf's entire body seemed to have withered and became very weak. This was no different from the violent boulder bear that Kang Shinmu had just killed. It was the same situation. At first, there were people who suspected that the life and death arena had done something to these demonic beasts. But very quickly, they confirmed that it was impossible. Now, there were people who doubted this again, because it was too suspicious. Could it be that this kid can really kill the starry sky flame wolf? Even so, many people didn't believe that the starry sky flame wolf would die. Some of the high officials and nobles who had bet on Kang Shinmu's death all started to roar in anger. They cheered the starry sky flame wolf up and hoped that this demonic beast would explode again and kill Kang Shinmu once and for all. Sadly, this sky demon couldn't do this anymore. The power of the starry sky and the power of flames had been devoured by Kang Shinmu. This increased the resistance of Kang Shinmu's black dragon body against these two powers to an extremely high level. Any attack from the starry sky flame wolf was no longer a threat to Kang Shinmu. It was just like tickling him. The starry sky and flames in the starry sky flame wolf's eyes started to dim as if it was on the verge of death. Finally, Kang Shinmu activated the third-grade dragon martial technique, the Shadow Dragon Fang transformation. He tore the starry sky flame wolf's giant body into pieces and scattered them within the life and death arena's cage. This was the final victory of this battle. Winner, Kang Shinmu. The Life and Death Arena's manager's heart was bleeding. This Starry Sky Flame Wolf was their Life and Death Arena's demonic beast. Now, it actually died in the hands of this kid. No matter how he thought about it, he felt like he was dreaming. How could this happen? However, the truth was right in front of him. Kang Shinmu had transformed into a black dragon and was recovering in the Life and Death Arena. As for the Starry Sky Flame Wolf, it had been completely torn apart and lost its life. Starry Sky and Flames. The resistance of these two powers has reached a very high level. Among them, the power of the fire attribute does not pose much of a threat to me. Even if I meet the Zhang family tribe's strongest genius, Zhang Feng, I can still fight him. Chapter 3954. When Kang Shinmu left the stage, the spectators burst into a flurry of discussion. Jiang Fengqing and the others were shocked. They never expected the battle to develop in such a way. Wasn't the Starry Sky Flame Wolf very fierce? Why did it suddenly become so dispirited? That kid's talent was said to be the power of devouring. Could it be that the power of devouring could weaken the opponent and also allow him to quickly replenish his energy? Such speculations quickly spread among the crowd. And because Jiang Fengqing had bet 200,000 dragon coins on the option that Kang Shinmu would lose, she could not get her 200,000 dragon coins back. Not only that, she had also let the others of the Jiang clan bet a lot of dragon coins, and now they were all at a loss. What made Jiang Fengqing most angry was that Kang Shinmu did not die. Even though he was blown into two, he did not die. When Kang Shinmu's black dragon body was blown into two, she felt as if she had ascended to heaven. But now, she had suddenly fallen back to hell. Kang Shinmu, he's so strong. The other dragon warriors of the Jiang clan looked at the scene in shock. Even though Jiang Shinwu had already left, it was as if the scene of the battle between the black dragon and the Starry Sky Flame Wolf still remained in their eyes. In the beginning of the battle, Kang Shinmu had been crushed. He was even blown into two by the Starry Sky Flame Wolf, who was at the third level of the Sky Demon Realm. But later on, Kang Shinmu seized the opportunity and used the power of devouring to turn defeat into victory. It had to be said that it was very exciting. Originally, the dragon warriors of the Jiang clan did not have a good impression of Kang Shinmu. But now, they seemed to see hope. According to Kang Shinmu's current strength, he could at least reach the top 20 of the clan tournament, or even the top 10. As such, the Jiang clan's overall score would be very high. At least, they would not be at the bottom. In the next 3 years, Dragon Prison City would provide the Jiang clan with more cultivation resources. This was a good thing for the entire Jiang clan. At this point, besides Jiang Fengqing, the rest of the Jiang clan's dragon warriors didn't have much of an opinion about Kang Shinmu. After witnessing this battle with the Starry Sky Raging Flame Wolf, they had quite a bit of confidence in Kang Shinmu. They hoped that he would be able to fight more and more bravely, and obtain a better ranking in the clan martial competition. At the same time, they regretted slandering and cursing Kang Shinmu before. Jiang Fengqing was the only one who seemed to be possessed by a demon. She just couldn't bear to see Kang Shinmu in the limelight and was still very unhappy with him. However, when she saw the others praising Kang Shinmu, her face darkened. Sacred Dragon Xia Yan's expression was also unsightly. He had just placed a bet that Kang Shinmu would lose. Like Sacred Dragon Shi Tao, he had placed a bet of 10 million dragon coins. He hadn't expected that the 10 million dragon coins would disappear in the blink of an eye. To Sacred Dragon Xia Yan, this 10 million dragon coins was nothing. The most important thing was his face. Kang Shinmu had once again taken the limelight, faintly allowing the Shi clan's residents to suppress the Xia clan's residents once again. This made Sacred Dragon Xia Yan very unhappy. As for Sacred Dragon Shi Tao, he was currently laughing heartily. Receiving 50 million dragon coins wasn't what made him the happiest. What made him the happiest was that Kang Shinmu had actually killed the Starry Sky Raging Flame Wolf and didn't disappoint him. From Kang Shinmu, sacred dragon Shitao saw the shadow of Jiang Zizai in the past. Although the father and son's innate talent were different, it was clear that both of them would rather die than submit and fight to the death. They were extremely tenacious. In the future, it was very likely that Kang Shinmu would be able to surpass him, sacred dragon Shitao. Of course, it was still impossible to achieve this in a short period of time, but it was enough to show Kang Shinmu's potential. To Shitao, the stronger Kang Shinmu was, the happier he was. This was because Kang Shinmu was someone he thought highly of. He even wanted to take Kang Shinmu in as his son-in-law. Naturally, he hoped that Kang Shinmu would become more and more powerful. Jiang Yuaning and Shi Yueying finally felt relieved when they saw that Kang Shinmu had finally won. Only when the person who had set up the gambling house gave them the 750,000 and 1,500,000 dragon coins did they finally come back to their senses. Their eyes were filled with unconcealable joy. Kang Shinmu had really won. He had defeated the third stage of the Sky Phase Violent Fey Beast, the Starry Sky Raging Flame Wolf. Didn't this mean that Kang Shinmu's strength had reached the third stage of the Divine Martial Realm? At the clan tournament, even against the strongest geniuses like Meng Chou and Zhang Feng, he would still have the strength to fight them. In the spectator stands, there were people from both the Meng tribal clan and the Zhang tribal clan. Although this Kang Shinmu is very strong, against Big Brother Meng Chou, he definitely wouldn't be able to last 3 moves before being killed by Big Brother Meng Chou. That's right. In front of Big Brother Meng Chou, this Starry Sky Raging Flame Wolf isn't even a clown. He can easily kill it. But this kid almost died. It shows the difference. But, I wonder what this kid is doing at the life and death arena? This kind of battle with a Fey beast is completely different from the battle between dragon warriors. Yes, even if he wins many times in the life and death arena, he might not be able to defeat a dragon warrior of the same strength. I wonder what this kid is thinking. The Meng tribal clan still did not take Kang Shinmu seriously. But from the initial disdain, they now had some admiration for Kang Shinmu. At least in the Meng tribal clan, other than a few people, no one was a match for Kang Shinmu. Other than Meng Chou and a few of the strongest geniuses, none of the genius dragon warriors participating in the clan tournament were a match for the Starry Sky Raging Flame Wolf. Kang Shinmu, who had trained in a body-tempering dragon martial technique, was almost killed by the wolf. It could be seen that if it were any other dragon warrior, they would have been blown to death if they were not careful. In the spectator stands, there was one person who did not participate in the bet, but was very interested in the battle. That was the genius girl from the Ji tribal clan, Ji Yeshuan. Ji Yeshuan had awakened for a long time. She did not participate in this year's clan tournament. She was one of the few people who had appeared in the clan tournament in the past 10 years, second only to Jiang Zizai. She sat in the spectator stands and looked indifferently at the torn Starry Sky Raging Flame Wolf. Her eyes revealed a look of interest. She did not expect Kang Shinmu to be able to turn defeat into victory in such a situation. She was somewhat surprised. Ji Yuan, if you were to meet this person in the clan tournament, would you be able to defeat him? Ji Yeshuan lightly asked a young man behind her. Eldest miss, don't worry. Although this kid can kill the Starry Sky Raging Flame Wolf, to me, it would only take 2 or 3 moves. The young man's name was Ji Yuan. He was the strongest person participating in the clan tournament from the Ji tribal clan. An inheritor of the heavenly dragon blood essence at the 4th stage of the divine martial realm. Ji Yuan's eyes flashed with disdain. He did not put Kang Shinmu in his eyes. After all, his cultivation was 3 stages higher than Kang Shinmu's. But Ji Yeshuan shook her head. You are wrong, Ji Yuan. You're tuning into the Biyao's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.